Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Post-Political Podcast. I'm the host, Derek Britton. Thank you all for joining me on this special 420 episode. We're going to be doing a lot of great things today. We're going to be talking about a lot of topics, both kind of light and then also very heavy. So it's going to be a great show. We're also going to have some very special guests coming on after about halfway through. We have, as many folks can see, we're actually streaming from Vermin Supreme channels this week as well. So look for some special guests there. And then also from Muddied Waters, Spike and Matt are coming. So Spike Cohen and Matt Wright. So it will be a very adventurous episode, I guess. We're just going to have a lot of fun. And like I said, we're going to be talking about a ton of different stuff today. So I look forward to it. I'm excited about it. And let's get started. Let's go into the promos. First off, we have the Vermin Supreme Institute. Our purpose is to inspire social evolution through the disruption of authoritarianism, to promote compassionate activism, and to spread the knowledge of redacted history. Through the use of humor, direct action, and mutual aid, we uplift the disaffected, the disenfranchised, and the disempowered. And then the last time I want to mention this, just because we're streaming on some of the Vermin shows, channels this week, that we were very happy to announce that the Love and Action fundraiser was very successful. We delivered 75 sets of winter survival gear to the unhomed individuals in Reno, Nevada. We also were able to hand out some stuff afterwards to the Fallon Soup Kitchen that we had left over. So that was a great success. Thanks to everyone who donated time, money, effort in doing that. It was very successful, and we're looking forward to doing much more of these things in the future. And then lastly, so we have two promos running for two different incredible organizations. First off, we have the Bridge Kids Give Back fundraiser. And this is helping with the unhoused communities in Massachusetts. This is a great foundation that we had a group. We had Nancy and her daughter on probably about a month and a half ago. So if folks want to check that out, it was a few weeks ago. Nancy Rivera was the name of the podcast episode she was on. So take a look. And then also we have the Be Gay Do Crime fundraiser to benefit the Trans Resource Network of Louisiana. So if you want to buy either one of these two items or directly donate on the PayPal link, you are more than welcome to. And this will help with the trans and gender nonconforming folks down in New Orleans, Louisiana. All right. So the guest this week, I am super excited to have her on. Kryssi Wichers is the most powerful libertarian, host of the Kryssi and Friends Show, the ultimate Spike Cohen's harasser, is also an all-around badass. She has a very good history of actually getting things done and forming coalitions with other parties to do so. And on tonight, this very special 420 episode, we're going to talk about a bunch of stuff. Cannabis reform, decriminalization, de-escalation tactics with protesting. And then, of course, we're going to be talking about the Chauvin verdict that happened just before the show. And then, again, we have some very special folks coming in the second half of the show. So let's bring Kryssi in and do a little bit of talking. How you doing, Kryssi?
I'm good, except I'm really offended that you said we're going to have special people on, but I was not included in the special people.
You are the most special.
Yeah, I'm the most powerful libertarian in every state.
You're on for the entire episode because of that.
Yeah, that's the whole reason why you even came to me, because you didn't even know me. You're like, oh, I heard that she was so powerful.
And then I saw a bunch of nipple memes, and it just brought me right in. I had to start talking with Kryssi.
Yeah. So, I mean, honestly, the backstory between the whole most powerful thing is just like an inside joke, because I was told by another libertarian that I obviously knew who they were because they were the most powerful libertarian in their state. So instead of just making fun of her privately, like I should do, I went ahead and just made a whole caucus about the most powerful libertarian. And so now we're all competing and I win regardless.
As I starting the caucus, I feel like you might have a leg up on the competition there.
Yeah, I know. That's why I win, is because I started it, bitches.
So I usually start off every one of these is kind of a introduction to how you got into third party. I think it's a good kind of gives us a good idea on your background and kind of what led you to want to be part of a third party that has to fight for ballot access and do all this stuff. So.
Well, first, I didn't know that when I joined. So it's actually almost kind of has to do with weed, which I'm going to be smoking the entire time I'm on your show. So back when I was 16, I had just gotten my license. I was living in rural Ohio, and I was driving around because that's what you do. You just get your license. And I saw a homemade sign. So, and I was 16 in 2006, by the way. I know I'm old, but I look like I'm barely 29. Anyway, I barely. So I was 2006. I was 16. Saw this homemade signs like Google Ron Paul. And this was back before, like, right when Facebook was just about to start. Like, this is the MySpace days. And I got bored on MySpace. I was over it. I'd been there for like 4 hours, you know. So I was bored, and I was like, oh, I'll just Google Ron Paul, see what this is about. And I saw this old man talking about legalizing marijuana. And I was like, what? Like, he's old. And I did not care at all about politics. I just figured, like, hey, I'm young and a woman. I'll probably vote Democrat in 2008 when I'm old enough to vote. Who knows? I don't care. And I so again, did not give a fuck. But then saw that Ron Paul wanted to legalize marijuana. And I was like, I'm a high school stoner. I want to legalize marijuana. Yep. And so I decided to go and look at the rest of his, platform and the rest of his ideals. And he was talking about ending the Federal Reserve. He was talking about, the IRS. He was talking about the war overseas and the war on drugs. And I was like mind blown. I never heard of any of this before. And so as a true person with ADHD, I spent like the next 6 months hyper-focusing on everything that Ron Paul was saying. Ended up when I was 18, started working with Ron Paul's campaign as a volunteer. By the time 2012 came around, ended up as paid staff on his campaign, was a delegate to the RNC. And I got beat in my head with my own Ron Paul sign that this woman took from the back of I was holding it. She took it back, and she was dressed as Martha Washington and old as shit. And she's beating me on my head, telling me like, she was a Romney supporter. And so I was like, what the fuck? And I turned around, and the security came and removed me as a delegate. And I was like, what the hell? Like, I was the one getting beat by Martha Washington.
Right.
Yeah, it was ridiculous. And then once he obviously got pretty robbed of his nomination, that's when I was like, I'm done. I need to look elsewhere. And I had heard him mention Libertarian, and I knew that was the underlying philosophy. I just did not know there was a party. And once I Googled the word libertarian, I think I Googled like, who's a libertarian, like to find out like who I can follow. Yep. And boom, the party popped up on like the 3rd page of Google. They had bad SEO back then. Yeah. And then it popped up, and I was like, okay, I'm going to come and join this massive, awesome party that obviously has ballot access, which was not the case. Very small, very intimate, and did not have ballot access in many, many states.
Right.
And ended up voting for Johnson in 2012, and have actually changed a lot of my opinion since coming into the Libertarian Party. I would never consider myself a Republican. I was not a Republican. I was a Ron Paul supporter who was for sex work and for open borders and for smoking weed. I was just the only one that was like that.
Right.
So, once I saw this party, I was like, oh, ew, why was I even talking to those people? And so, but I mean, my views have probably, I would say more or less expanded rather than changed into really understanding the philosophy and the non-aggression principle and just being an autonomous human. So I have equal, probably 50-50 respect for people like Ron Paul and then also AOC. But then Vermin comes in, and he's like 1,000% of my views. Basically, I just feel like I'm Vermin Supreme.
The real Vermin Supreme.
I'm the real Vermin Supreme. Don't listen to what he says. He'll pretend he's been around for like 30 years doing shit. I'm the real Vermin Supreme. And the funny part is I have a Ron Paul tattoo. It's kind of hard to see, but I have one right here. And I recently just got a Vermin tattoo over here. So I call it the Ron Paul to Vermin pipeline.
That's perfect. No, and it's fun, hearing different stories about how different people came into the party and stuff is pretty interesting. And, sometimes I have Green Party folks and things like that as well. And they have, sometimes the same story that most people have, but other times it's completely different, and they came in from the radical right or something. It's very interesting to hear how different people kind of end up that way, you know, through going through their kind of change in their own political beliefs and stuff. I mean, I came in, Obama basically made me a libertarian. Obama was such a poor, like he said he was anti-war, he said he was pro-immigration, acted in the exact opposite manner, and drove me to the Libertarian Party. I mean, it was very direct kind of cause and effect, I guess, at that point. So yeah, it's interesting how we all get here, but so you do a bunch of different things that I've seen just on social media. Actually, you've done a bunch of different rallies and standouts and protests and all this stuff. You've learned a lot, and this is where I got a really good impression and cool kind of insight to a little bit of your history doing some of these protests. Is I saw you on one of the Vermin Supreme Institute shows talking about some de-escalation tactics and stuff. And that was just a very interesting kind of not complete introduction. I had known you a little bit before, I guess, but it was a good way to learn about some of the stuff that you had done, and kind of I think it tells a lot about a person, how they act in a situation like that versus, you know, an easy situation where you're kind of able to kind of process and kind of do whatever you need to. In a specific, you know, event like a protest or something where energy and emotions are very high, being able to kind of do some of those de-escalation things, I feel like is just a huge character piece of someone. And I think it's just amazing. I just wanted to dote on you for a second and then get into
keep going.
Just get into a little bit of, you know, can we share that with the audience here? You know, some of the both the history that you've had in kind of protesting and doing some direct action things, and then, you know, how does that play into some of the de-escalation tactics and being able to stay safe while, you know, out there protesting and stuff.
So, I mean, if we talked about my history with protesting, we would probably be here all night. So I'll give some highlights.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been arrested for protesting 12 times. So, I mean, it would take less time to talk about that. So I got my start around the same time I found out about Ron Paul. He really inspired a lot within me. And I had just had a child. I was a teen parent, and you know, learning about the stuff Ron Paul was saying at the same time as wanting a great world for my son, I was like, okay, so clearly I got to do shit about this, because like, who's going to? And my favorite book is The Lorax, and where he says, you know, unless someone like you cares a whole awful lot, nothing is going to get better. It's not. I even have it tattooed right on me. I tattoo everything, if you can't tell. So I started out with doing basically in the Fed rallies and tax day rallies and marijuana legalization rallies. I was living out in Portland, Oregon for a little while. And while out there, I mean, they'll protest the weather changing, you know, and literally it changes like 5 times a day. So they got to protest a lot. So, but they were all out there. And around when I was about 21, this is around 2010, 2011 is when the Occupy movement started getting really big. And Portland, we wanted to organize our own. Ours ended up being actually the largest and longest lasting Occupy occupation. We were there for 5.5 weeks, camped out. Yeah. So I helped organize that, but not as like an activist or a protester. I was there as I worked for Ron Paul, and I really felt like these were the people that we needed to reach and that needed to reach us, because we were all about the same underlying thing. Like, we want freedom, and we want our government to be less in control of what we're doing. And we want cronies out. And so went down there, made great friends with some of the people who were thinking about organizing. And so they asked me if I wanted to join and help organize. And I said, absolutely. And because I wasn't one of the ones that were out there for everything, they were like, would you like to like run like the police liaison stuff? Because like they hate us. And I was like, yeah, sure, that's fine. And so it really taught me to get along, not only with police when you don't want to get along with police, but it taught me kind of conflict resolution and problem solving and a lot of de-escalation. So moving on from there, I was super involved. I've been really passionate about the environment my whole life. That was probably the only thing I cared about before I heard about Ron Paul. And so I've done a lot of climate change, anti-GMO stuff, which I get shit for all the time. But I did a lot of that kind of stuff and ended up getting arrested quite a few times during that. And was able, actually, I got arrested in Ann Arbor, Michigan for unlawful use of amplified sound, which is actually only an infraction, but they arrested me, kept me in jail for 9 hours without even letting me know what my charge was. But once I got out, I had so much support. It's like, I mean, hippies are so amazing. I love hippies. They were so supportive. And with their support, I was able to sue the city of government, or the city of government, the government of Ann Arbor, in the city of Ann Arbor, sue them for the right to protest without a permit, because I applied for a permit, paid a lot of money, and they denied it the night before, like 5 p.m., right the day before the protest. And I wasn't about to tell a bunch of anarchist hippies that the government said no. Like, I'd get double the amount of anarchist hippies, and that would change the message. So didn't tell anybody, but of course the police came and just arrested me because someone else was using a megaphone. And so we ended up winning our lawsuit. ACLU took my case. We won the lawsuit. Obviously, my charges were dropped. And even hash bash, which is a huge thing in Michigan, is able to happen without that permit because they're technically a protest. And now they don't have to pay thousands of dollars to put on what they're doing. If not this week, then one of the weeks around here. It's called hash bash. I mean, even Tommy Chong goes.
Yeah.
So, and then, moving on from there, went into anti-war with Syria. My son is actually Syrian. His father's Syrian. And so got really heavily into doing stuff like that. I've been called by assholes a cause head hippie because I have so many causes, but what they don't realize is they're not smart enough to realize is that no, there's only one underlying premise here, and that's liberty. And that's freedom. And so that's basically what I've been doing. And as soon as Black Lives Matter started a few years ago, I definitely wanted to be just an ally and someone there. I don't ever speak at any of these rallies. I don't try to go there with any of my own message. Obviously, that is not my message, but I can be there as someone who can listen and who can support. And I've been heavily participating in that. And that's honestly where, like, one of the only few times I've had to use de-escalation tactics, because they treat those rallies a lot different than the literally hundreds I have been a part of. So
yeah, and it's interesting. You brought up a bunch of different points there that I want to just talk about a little bit of. So one of the things that I think seems, and I love that you bring it up, and I love that you talk about it as one underlying thing of freedom and liberty, and kind of having the government less involved in our everyday lives, because it typically doesn't work out well for anyone, and especially folks who already have a hard time, with anything. The government makes it typically a lot harder, and what we're seeing in like the Occupy movements and things like that. Seeing that that wasn't a big, like, I feel like half of the people I know associated with the Libertarian Party would be interested in reaching out to those folks, and the other half would say they're not anything like the folks that we are. And it just blows my mind that some folks that kind of want to distance themselves from movements like that, when I feel like those folks are looking for help. Where I think the not even the National Party, but people just involved in the liberty movement, trying to actually reach out to folks that are not liberty adjacent. They're searching for liberty as well. It's just the cause is not specifically under what typically is a cause. And I don't want to go too far into this. I just think that it's really important to identify that there is a huge group of individuals that believe that this is something worth fighting for as well. And Black Lives Matter, you see very different messaging from whatever libertarian you see writing about it day to day. So I wanted to highlight it because I feel like a lot of folks kind of get the wrong message because they've run into a libertarian that doesn't believe in those things. And I don't mean that every single libertarian has to. I just think that it makes a lot of sense given the principles and platform that the Libertarian Party has. I don't want to stand on a diatribe and just talk about that for the entire time, but I just wanted to highlight it because I really like that you bring it up.
Yeah, I think it's really important. I mean, honestly, as Spike will, he can attest to, when he came to Ohio, I was very adamant that he goes down to our Black Lives Matter protests. And it wasn't just Black Lives Matter that was there. I mean, we had the Heartbeat movement there, which is one just about just like against police brutality in general. I mean, there was a lot of movements there all coming together to try to fight against the systemic racism and the overreach of power our government has. And while we were there, and of course, before we go, a bunch of libertarians were like, you shouldn't bring him there. Like, they're a bunch of Marxists. I'm like, I have been there for 40 days in a row. I know exactly their political ideologies. Trust me. Not one was a Marxist. Not one was a commie. Not one was a socialist. I mean, there was only a few Democrats because most of them were like, fuck the Democratic Party because they're not doing shit for us. Right. And so when I see that attitude, and Columbus, Ohio is a huge area. So, I mean, we had thousands of people there all the time. And when I hear not one of them praising, Biden or Kamala, I was like, okay, obviously they need someone who's willing to listen to them. And too many times as libertarians, we like to talk to people. We like to preach to them. We like to let them know our opinion. But that does not win anyone over. What we need to do is we need to listen. And when Spike came, when he decided to say, fuck you, I'm going anyway. And he came, I even told him, I was like, so I know like this is kind of weird, but I got an offer if he wanted to speak. And he's like, I'm not going to speak. This isn't my message. They don't need to hear white savior or Jew over here trying to get people. They need to, be able to tell their stories. And so Spike had a conversation and he listened. And I mean, we were probably there for over an hour where he was just listening to these stories and was trying to like let them know like some of our proposed solutions as libertarians and some of our philosophy. And holy shit, like these people were so excited to not only have someone finally fucking listen, that's a politician who's on every ballot, but having someone with solutions that were not far-fetched, that were not out of this reality, that were good solutions that would benefit everyone, not just a set group, not just, the police, not just marginalized communities. It benefits everyone. And they went on live stream on their page and endorsed Spike. And we're like, we're fighting for him. And let me tell you, they've been to every single event we've had in Ohio since. Like literally every event. One of them even just, unfortunately, he didn't make it on the ballot, but one of them just tried to run for city council as a libertarian. And he is a major organizer of their Black Lives Matter chapter. So it's like crazy, right? Yeah. And so many people said, no, they're Marxists. They're not on our side. And it's, how do you know that? Because we're not collectivists, right? We don't believe that everyone can be grouped. So if you have that as your underlying, principle that you're not a collectivist, why would you collectivize these people and assume that they're Marxists when you haven't talked to a single one of them? Right. And I mean, even Spike was pleasantly surprised, like of how receptive they were. And they go to more events in Ohio than libertarians in Ohio go to, and they're doing the shit and they're getting shit done. They're also out on the streets getting shit done. They're with legislators writing model bills to help get some of these things we want passed. Right. I mean, besides myself, I don't know a single other Ohio libertarian that has been in the state house in a year. And whereas they're there far often than I am, like far more often. I go probably like twice, maybe 3 times a month. They're there almost every day trying to get this shit done. And it's the same bills we want passed. Right. So why not join together?
Absolutely. Yeah. And that's one of the reasons I started the show, is really just trying to reach out to different folks that maybe don't even, this is the nice thing about this podcast is it's really just an open, more third party, but I've talked to progressive Dems that are super active in state legislation and try to, find good ways that we could work on different progressive policies and stuff that we're decriminalizing sex work, decriminalizing marijuana, things like that. I think it's especially given the size and typical, voting body of the Libertarian Party. I think it seems just like we're shooting ourselves in the foot if we're not reaching out and working with other activist individuals or groups of people that are part of even different political parties. So.
Absolutely. I mean, we're not big enough to say, no, we shouldn't reach out to that group. But then at the same time, those same people are reaching out to the right. And those same people are saying that Rand Paul is a libertarian. And, other of these right-leaning people are libertarian. And it's like, do you know what the word means? Because I'm telling you, I'm giving you people who already are doing this shit for us. And you're saying they're not libertarian enough because of some other group. But at the same time, Rand Paul, who specifically says, I am not a libertarian, stop calling me that. You're saying, no, but you really are. And at the same time, he's, for the last 4 years, sucking Trump's dick and voting on bills to give us less freedom.
Right.
The fuck are you saying that reach out to Black Lives Matter is bad? Who the fuck are you?
Look at their voting record versus Rand Paul's voting record and tell me exactly which one we should be aligning, with. No, I completely agree. I couldn't agree more. And, speaking of which, I guess, forming coalitions, I feel like is a big part of what the future of and some of the past and present, I guess, of the party needs to be. I think there's a lot of work to be done, especially on ballot measures, like ranked choice voting is a big thing. Decriminalized sex work is coming into at least Massachusetts state legislation soon. To be voted on in the next session, decriminalizing drugs. There's a lot of things that I feel like the Green Party and us feel very similarly on. DSA feels very similarly on. A bunch of different groups, and I know you've had some history as well, forming some of these coalitions or working together with folks that are maybe part of a different party. And how has that gone in the past? And I guess how do we harness what you've seen or done that works well and kind of replicate it, I guess, in different states and stuff across the country?
So first, to your first point of what, so, I mean, beyond working with, I've worked with environmentalists on trying to pass those kind of things. We got a few states to pass labeling bills, which eventually, the federal government kind of knocked down on that one, but worked with a few states on decriminalizing and legalization. And let me tell you, most of them are going to be left-leaning. And a lot of them, when they hear libertarian, it's the same thing as some libertarians hearing liberal. They're like, ugh, why? And just honestly, I've been able to kind of ease that stigma because it's constant. Every group I've ever been a part of, there's always someone like, why did we let the libertarian in here? But by espousing our values and just the way that I am as a person and, being open-minded and having conversation, being kind and listening and being a volunteerist, giving my part of my effort, that needs to be done because, obviously many hands make light work. And so offering to help and not just come in and steamroll and try to take, a managerial position by just being a libertarian, honestly, without, being those kind of libertarians. It's people have been willing to open up and let me join. And so that's, again, with environmentalists, that was definitely the hardest. But then going into marijuana decriminalization here in Ohio, we have tried to get legalization. And honestly, we have people with Trump 24 signs already out. Obviously, that's the kind of people we are here in Ohio. So obviously, we can't do it that way. Right. So what we've been doing is going city by city and decriminalizing first. That makes it no fine, no time. Possession is completely fine. You just obviously can't have more than 30 something grams, and you can't smoke outside. It doesn't cover that kind of stuff. It covers the possession of it. And while obviously we want far more than that, we had to start somewhere. And we're hoping that doing this in each city, that the whole state as a whole will see that no one's dead. The apocalypse didn't start. Jesus didn't smite us. We are fine to keep smoking weed. And then maybe the next time when we spend millions of dollars trying to get this passed, people will be willing to vote. So, and also it saves a lot of people in the meantime. In Columbus alone, we have over 1 million people in just Columbus, not including, the whole metro system together. And that's 1 million people who can smoke weed and just have weed and not go to jail, because they take you to jail. Right. And you have a record. You can no longer get financial aid. and for college. And I mean, it just ruins a lot for you if you just want to do something as fucking mundane. This is boring. This is the most boring drug I do. Most boring drug I do. And I mean, when I want to come down from my other drugs, I go to this drug. Like, who does, like, this is boring. Right. So people want to do that and they're going to jail. Well, okay. So I tried working with the Libertarian Party and get them like kind of a little bit involved with the Libertarian Party of Ohio. Like, come on, let's get on some shit. And people are like, no, it's far more fun to sitting in a meeting for 9 hours and talk about what if we could do shit. So I found other groups. And so Sensible Ohio here in Ohio, it's kind of like normal, but in a different sense. But it's just for sensible weed laws, right? And so they have been going and helping getting all these cities done. And they gave me the opportunity to help them with Columbus. And that's where I live now. And I mean, we didn't even have to put it on the ballot. We got the city council to vote to decriminalize marijuana despite this stupid police union coming to come talk shit. We got it done. And from that experience, I was able to help get my hometown on the ballot. We didn't have to collect that many signatures, but we got it on the ballot. It's going to be voted on in our next election. And Madam Mayor Cassandra Fryman, who is a bad bitch, and she's from Ohio. She's from Plymouth, Ohio. She's a mayor now. That's awesome. She worked with Sensible. I was like, hey, I got a group for you if you want to decriminalize weed. And she's like, okay. And get her in touch with this group. And literally, I think like 3 months later, she had gotten her whole city council to vote on decriminalizing. And so now in her city, this decriminalized. And this is all over the state of Ohio. And none of them are libertarians. Not one. Not one of the people with Sensible Ohio is libertarians. A lot of them are Green Party. A lot of them are independent. They said, fuck the system, you know? Yep. And a lot of people are more, they're Democrat and more progressive. And it's just been a nice group. And honestly, I don't feel any different than when I'm with libertarians. Well, except for getting the shit done part, that part I feel a little bit different on. But, being able to work with that group has just enabled a lot. I'm sure they wouldn't have thought about that, my podunk hometown, to put on the ballot. But because all I did was be like, hey, you need help? It's so easy, so easy. I mean, if they're not libertarians, they don't push you away. They're like, yes, come help me. And that easy. And now my city is going to be able to not go to jail for marijuana or cannabis or whatever fucking name you want to call it. I'm not one of those. I'm not snotty. I'm like, you know what? Call it whatever the fuck you want. You can call it pot, weed. Just don't call it dope. Obviously, dope is like, that kind.
Yeah, no, and I think it's wonderful to hear about, again, and I know we poke fun. There are libertarians across the country doing, great work.
So a lot of them do things. Unfortunately, just not enough. We need help. We need so much help. Derek, you got a new baby and you're doing shit.
Yeah.
And you need help.
Yeah, 100%. And it's important to, like you said, just if there's another group working on something that you are passionate about, just go work with that group. Like, it doesn't have to be all your best friends. It doesn't have to be all the people who vote with you. If you are passionate about something, and it's not even just that. I mean, there's I was talking with Spike Cohen a few weeks ago on the show, and he was talking about having the right to own chickens in his city. That was a huge piece, and there were a ton of people willing to work with him strictly because that was one of his stances, and that makes a big difference when someone's super passionate about something. Most voters are one issue or maybe a handful of related issue voters, and if you can help reach out to those folks and just say, hey, I'm here to help however I can. And eventually they find out you're a libertarian. They're like, oh, this person's pretty awesome. Maybe they're not all Rand Paul or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, I think that what the typical media shows of libertarians, and I think what people are like when you meet them face to face, are just such drastically different. And it's great to hear a lot about this. So
So what people can do before we go and get the special people on, what people can do is kind of like how Derek reiterated, just to offer help. I mean, they'll take it. But you can, let's say there's not anyone doing anything. you can go and look at state resources. You know, there's probably a state group working on something. You can look at another state. 9 times out of 10, those organizations or those people with those organizations network. They have people all over. And if they find out that you're passionate about something or that you want to help change something in your community, you can let them know and they'll filter you down to where you need to go. And if there is no one and you're that person, then they will help you. Yeah. I mean, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. And the great thing with being a libertarian and being an activist is that, like I said, I started this segment off with is that we have all of these causes have one thing in common, and it's all about liberty, and it's all about freedom, and it's all about just owning yourself away from a large government. And when, you know, when you have so many different things that fall under that umbrella and you get involved with a little bit of each, you learn so much. If you listen to people, listen to what they're doing, listen to who they're talking to, you start making connections with legislators. That's super important. And you start learning the process, and you start learning how to work with more and more groups. I mean, it's so funny how many people, first of all of my activist friends that aren't libertarian, they can't even believe I'm a libertarian. They don't believe it. If they haven't like just watched my social media, they would not believe it. My libertarian friends are like, oh my God, I can't believe like you hang out with fucking hippie commies all the time. And I'm like, I know, it's weird, right? Y'all think it's weird, but it's so normal that's how we're supposed to be. Right. And instead of dividing, just finding where you have something in common. I mean, the only type of people that I can't find something in common with is the bigots. Like, that's it. If you aren't a bigot, then like we're gonna be fine, and we can probably work together.
Yeah, and I think that's a big piece as well. Like just having to reach, and Spike talks about this a few times as well. Like I've talked to him about a bunch about this, is having normie friends, as he calls it. Like just having people outside of the Libertarian Party, outside of, you know, anarchists even, and just talking to a person that's just trying to work their whatever number of hours, feed their kids, have the house over the roof over their head, and like people who are just trying to live their lives and talk and listen to them. You know, talking with them is important as well, but listening to them is the most important thing, because they have a lot to say that will kind of reground you and you'll actually understand, you know, what you should be talking about instead of, you know, taxation theft and like those things are important. But at the end of the day, and I'm not trying to like dump on anything, but at the end of the day, like learning how to talk to people, the voting general public, is such an important tool that just a lot of folks in the party are missing out on, I feel like.
Oh, totally. I am a huge proponent for normies. I mean, and again, like Derek said, normies, there's nothing wrong with normies. In fact, you are the normal ones. Yeah. You are the ones that we wish we could be. There's nothing wrong with you. That is a compliment to call you a normie. Some of my normie friends, I call them a normie to my other friends, and they're like, I heard you. And I'm like, no, that's a good thing. I'm saying you're better than the person I'm telling that you're a normie to. Like, you are someone who, you know, I'm not going to argue with you all the time. We're going to have fun. We're going to have a conversation that isn't like about the world ending. You know, we're going to have like a good time. And at the same time, it's not like these people are stupid. They have a different priority. Right. And their priority is not going and trying for over a decade to change the country and watching it get more authoritarian. Like that is not something they want to do. But at the same time, you're absolutely right. If we listen to them, we can hear what they hear. We can hear what they perceive. And even my normie friends, I would say about half of my normie friends knew what a libertarian was. At least, like, I mean, half of those called him Rob Paul. Like they're like, or Rand Paul. They're like, oh, Rand Paul? No. But you know, but the other half, they don't even know what the word means. You are their first introduction into being libertarian, and you can choose to use that and show them how being a libertarian is amazing. And like, look, I know I'm super political, but I'm like the good kind. Like I always say, we put the party in political party. Like, you know, I'm always the fun one. They're like, oh, hey, I bet you wouldn't like take this at acid. And I'm like, give me 4, bitch, you know? And so like, I was a bartender for 10 years. So like, I talk to normies all the time. And when you hear this, how they perceive everything, you can actually use that to get them into your side. I'm sorry for any of my normie friends who are watching who know I've been brainwashing you this whole time and propagandizing you, but it's so great when you bring them over and they're like, oh, okay, I care like a little bit now, so I'll just vote Libertarian. Is that cool? And I'm like, yeah, that'll do. And I mean, some of my friends have even became activists after like I met them at the bar. They were a coworker or they were a friend's girlfriend or something. Like they're like, oh, actually, this is like really fun. You just like stand around, get high, and yell at people through a megaphone. And I'm like, yeah.
Right, exactly. No, it's fun. Like I always like even like seeing just small changes. Like, for instance, having a friend say, well, I'm actually going to at least research all the candidates instead of, in my local races, instead of just picking the D or the R, whatever they happen to be. Or hearing, I'm going to at least, if I see one of the that there's a candidate that's independent, green, Democrat, libertarian, or democratic socialist or something like that, I'm going to at least look into that person before looking into the duopoly. So I feel like at least that's a win. Like I don't need massive wins where they're a card carrying member the next day. It's if we have a little bit more educated voting public, I feel like that works in our favor 9 times out of 10. So
yeah, absolutely. I mean, my sister lives in Portland and she's calling me. I just sent her a message saying I'm doing something important. But yeah, no, totally. It's like it's a very positive thing when you can get someone to at least not even get them to, but at least open their mind enough to realize that they want to open their mind more.
Yeah, that's perfect. No, and I think there's a lot there to be that we could dive into, but anyway, I think it would kind of take up the rest of our time here. I want to make sure we hit on and I think this is probably going to be a little bit heavy and I want to kind of get your thoughts on the recent guilty verdict and figure out kind of what, not that we need to figure out the next steps, but kind of what would you envision? I mean, I just feel like this is such a potential, I think there's been a lot that should have kicked people into gear for a very long time on a lot of criminal justice reform. I feel like we saw a little bit of accountability. I don't think there's whatsoever. I saw a few posts that I completely agree with, that justice hasn't been served. There's still a person that's dead that shouldn't be at this point in time. What is your take on it just in general? And then kind of let's get into, I guess, what are some of the steps? It feels like a daunting task. It feels like such a uphill battle, I guess, to fix something like criminal justice in our society. But what are some of the steps that we can take, and what are some of your thoughts and ideas, I guess?
So I think first of all, when we talk about what should we do, I think that we should listen to the people that are being most affected. I think that's number one, right? But if we're going to talk about just like my own opinions, obviously I'm super excited about today. I could not believe it. I've been telling my husband, Casey Anthony, I watched, that was my only trial I've ever watched gavel to gavel before this one. Like I watched from the open to the end. I watched Casey Anthony's trial and holy fucking shit. Why the fuck? Everyone has that same feeling, right?
Right.
So that totally turned me off from this like 12 juror thing. And I remembered, jurors are just people like us. They're not smarter or dumber than any of us. They're just average people. And I have no faith. And so I even called my husband and told him, I called him like 4 times in a row until he answered. He was at work and he works near downtown Columbus by the State House. And I was like, hey, they're doing a verdict here soon. I need you to make sure that you're going to be able to get home safe. And, because the police are going to be on edge. People are going to be on edge because I had no faith. I thought they would just come back with like 1 charge guilty. And I thought it'd be the lowest. And I can't tell you how excited I am. So I love Philip DeFranco. He has a YouTube show. He always makes sure to say rapist Brock Turner when he's talking about Brock Turner, the rapist. And so now we get to say murder, Derek Chauvin, murderer, and we don't even have to say alleged. So that to me is fantastic. That's fantastic. Now, where we go from right here, again, I think we should listen to the people that, have been saying this for years. But as libertarians, I already love that we're fighting to end qualified immunity. But like those posts that you talked about, and Vermin had a post saying, this isn't justice. Justice would have been him not dying. Right. So to fight for justice to me isn't just ending qualified immunity, because that's for after the fact.
Right.
We need to reform the entire fucking system. We need to strip a lot of these duties away from the police, and not even just for, our sake, for their sake.
Yeah.
Why should police be working all of these hours and having to go and deal with a mental health crisis when that's not their specialty?
Right.
Why are they dealing with all of these things that can put them in danger when we can have people like social workers and people that are specialized in this?
Right.
There'd be far less confrontation. On top of that, we need to continue fighting, and some of us need to get off our ass and start fighting again to end the war on drugs, to decriminalize and legalize cannabis, so that way more people aren't put in that situation.
Yeah.
We need to get more freedom, so that way there's less interaction between us and police. And if we start that process and get that done, I don't even think we'll ever have to hear the words qualified immunity again, because then you're not having these shootings. You're not having these murders, or, in the case of George Floyd, who was murdered by murderer Derek Chauvin, he was asphyxiated. He couldn't even breathe.
Right.
To have this right here be the last words of so many people, I mean, it's getting to the point where I'm having nightmares almost of listening to people saying they can't breathe.
Right.
And because it's not like it's a quick reaction, they're murdering these people on the street.
Yep.
And we didn't get justice with Eric Garner.
Right.
We didn't get justice with Breonna Taylor, but we can finally get justice, and this isn't justice yet. Justice will be to make sure this does not happen again.
Right.
And there are actual things we can do. We can, again, change the laws, get rid of the laws, and focus. Most probably quickest we can do is get all of these police retrained and get that shit out of the training. Because I watched that trial, and the trainer even said, like, yeah, we do put knees on necks. I mean, not for that long, but we put knees on necks. And that needs to fucking go. You could see.
Right.
I mean, you couldn't see anybody else in the courtroom, of course, because of COVID. But I could feel like the room changing in there when they said that, because so many people are watching going, what? I didn't know that. And now we can change that while we fight to get more freedom. We're winning on both ends. I mean, we're getting what we want, and we're helping a marginalized group who've been begging for help.
Yeah.
We're helping get what they are entitled to. And I mean, and it's not just Black people or marginalized communities that get murdered by the police. Obviously, everyone gets murdered by the police. But I mean, it's unmistakable that, and it's undebatable that that they're targeted more. Like, there's no debate on that. But
100%.
It works for all of us. Let's just do it. And so hearing that verdict today was, I mean, I got pepper sprayed a few times when I was down there this summer, and it made the pepper spray worth it. I know me getting pepper sprayed did not cause that jury to vote guilty on all counts, which was amazing. But everyone that went to all of these rallies around the country being willing to be pepper sprayed, that's what did it. Everyone. And that's what got this done. People are finally listening, and we need to not take advantage of that. And we need to do it now. We need to get on there, and then we can do qualified immunity, but let's make sure that we don't even need to use qualified immunity, or we don't even need to get rid of it, because it's not going to exist. There's not even no point. No one's going to be dead by the police.
Right.
That's my ideal world.
And I think you brought up a great point too there with trying to remove some of the laws that create such a high volume of police interaction. I think I think it's great to go after the war on drugs. Those are very significant numbers as far as the in-prison population, and what's the cause for them to be in jail is typically the war on drugs ranks pretty high on that list. But there's also tons of silly laws on the books, and if you can just go look at some of the and there's like stupid state law of the day, Twitter accounts, all sorts of stuff. But if you actually go and talk to some folks who truly believe in your state that are in position to put forward some of these bills to remove certain things off the law books, if they truly believe in limiting government, and if they truly believe that less police interaction would bode for a better tomorrow, go through and try and get rid of all of those, because they seem silly and they seem like, this is just an old law, or this is just, most of those laws are put in place to put people in jail. They were targeting communities, and they were trying to find a way to put those, or to increase the number of times that they could stop and ask those people questions. So those laws are super, super important to go after. And I feel like, it seems silly to go after a law about not riding a bicycle after 9 p.m., but you best bet that law was put in place to target a certain community because they wanted to have more police interaction, when we should be working for, and like you said, for both sides. For the police, they shouldn't want to have to put in all this extra effort policing all these things that are not having a victim. And at the end of the day, the folks that are being harassed by the police more frequently don't want to have those interactions either. So I feel like it's a good way to kind of approach the situation in I guess as most of a pragmatic approach as you can, is a sensible policy removal, and just go through and start doing stuff there. I mean, every little bit of that is going to help make it less likely for something like this to happen tomorrow. So.
Absolutely. Dude, like I said earlier, I got arrested for someone else using a megaphone. And the charge was unlawful use of amplified sound, which to them, that's usually like the radio being too loud or something, And tell me why I went to jail.
Right. Exactly.
Because they, and actually, if we want to talk about targeting communities, I mean, they target groups that do a certain thing specifically. And with the marijuana situation, that was done because they wanted to arrest Black people and hippies, specifically the anti-war hippies. And this is not only just like we know this to be true because we think so. This is facts, motherfucker. Like the dude on his deathbed was like, oh yeah, this is why we did it. And, it's like, seriously. So we know that this is a thing. We know that they specifically target people for marijuana, and they also make it really hard to do anything if you're using it as medicine. Yeah. I mean, again, if you have a drug charge, you can be rapist Brock Turner and get the FAFSA before an 18-year-old who has a weed charge can get FAFSA. Yeah. Rapist Brock Turner can get one. And that's ridiculous, right?
Yep.
And so we need to obviously stop marginalizing groups and just get it done. Yeah. And I mean, and this is the worst part, is like to get some of the normies on board. You're like, look at how much money we can get from charging people extra. But you know what? To me, that's a fight that we can fight after we get people out of cages.
Right. Yeah. And I think that's, there's a lot of folks that lose the forest through the trees a bit, and trying to make sure that they get to, or kind of sacrificing the good for the perfect, or whatever that saying is. And I probably butcher all these. I hope that I do, and I hope that it's something that
you're a dad now. That's what you do.
Exactly. So, but I think that people do that a lot, and they see like nothing's going to be perfect until we have true, cannabis is treated like something you grow in your garden. And yeah, that's a perfect kind of end goal that I hope that we get to someday as well. Anything between where we're at and there is good. I will fight for anything on that helps us get to a better place where people aren't getting thrown in jail over consuming a plant.
Right. I've had so many libertarians be like, I don't even know why you waste your time on decriminalization. Because that means that even if it was just one person a year, one person that was saved from being in a cage,
right,
or saved an officer from wasting their time in this interaction when there's rapists like Brock Turner out there, if that could happen, like just one, I think that's a win. And I think that's what also tries to helps keep me optimistic, is knowing that at least one person is not in a jail cell because we just showed up and did a few things and got a few things done. And it took us a couple weeks and we were like, fuck it, let's save people today. Just it's super simple, and just doing that, even if it just helped one person. But I know for a fact that in Columbus, Ohio, 600 people a year get arrested for their possession. And so that's 600 people a year that's not going to see a cage, right? Because we just showed up to talk to a few people.
Right. Think about a better how much more direct can you impact the lives of 600 people? Right. so significant. I think people, like I said, kind of lose that in trying to meet this perfect kind of end where Massachusetts has a poor system where it's huge crony corporations that run most of the cannabis shops and stuff. But at the end of the day, I can grow, the person down the street can grow, and neither one of us are going to jail for it. You know what I mean? I think that's such a huge win, and we just have to kind of see that as well.
See the little bits, and that'll keep you going, and that'll keep you motivated, and that really helps. When you're trying to do something and maybe you have police interaction, to go back on de-escalation, when you know that you are trying to help people, even yourself. Like, I'm selfish in it. I smoke weed. Like, that's why I'm really passionate about ending weed laws. I've been arrested for weed a couple times. Like, I'm like, okay, I've learned to not stop, but I've learned to just get rid of the laws. Right. So every place I go, I'm like, oh, you guys on decriminalization yet? Don't you worry. I work here in the city now. I'm going to get it. But it's something that keeps you really wanting to get all of this stuff done, and to be able to talk to police like they're a human being, because I know some of them don't seem like they are, but I promise they are. And you have people depending on you. You got people depending on your ability, because maybe you have more time than them. Maybe you have you have more of this on your list than they have on their list. And so people are depending on you. And so instead of yelling, hey, pig, go fuck yourself, you fucking asshole, you piece of shit, I'm sitting here thinking, wow, I would love to help your children not get, in trouble and have to deal with someone like you. So, hi, my name is Kryssi. I've had a few people call me a bootlicker because I go up to every officer and introduce myself. I think that's important. Yeah. And I've been pepper sprayed quite a few times in my life, but far less than a lot of people I know at the same protests. Right. So I've never been only one time ever, which was just this last summer, but one time ever out of 12, 15 times I've been pepper sprayed, I've only been targeted once. All the other times that's
actually a pretty good number, I feel.
Yeah. And that's just when I've had spray in my face. That's not including when things have been sprayed and I can still feel it. So, I've been pepper sprayed far less than targeted pepper sprayed. And, call me bootlicker, whatever. I'm trying to show the police that this is a community thing. This isn't an us versus you thing, you versus us thing. And we know it's a you versus us thing, but we want to stop that. Right. We want to stop that. So we'll be the bigger person. Yeah. And I'll, if I have to go up and say, hi, my name's Kryssi, I'm here for this reason. And we want to make sure everyone gets home safe tonight. Hi, my name's Kryssi. I literally go down the line. Right. And I try to also talk to them. And actually, Nick Sarwark, of all people, is the one who helped inspire me to start doing this on the spot. He was watching one of my live streams. He's like, this is what you can say. And I was saying, how would you feel if young you was reading about this? And would you feel would young you feel that you're on the right side? And, but also just saying, I have a family too, and I'd like to get home to my family. And I feel like I'm fighting for justice, just like you feel you're fighting for justice. And do you understand where I'm coming from? Because I can understand where you're coming from. Your thinking is that you need to protect these laws, that the government is such an asshole that they're making you on the front lines. They'll pass the laws, but they're putting you on the front lines to defend it. That's kind of fucked up. And I understand that that's where you're coming from. I'm coming from those laws I also think are fucked up. And to save you and to save myself from these fucked up laws, I got to show up to shit. Yep. And so here I am, here you are. And we can be cool. We can be homies. I've offered joints to police just to make them laugh because it is decriminalized in Columbus. But I'm like, hey, we can go right over to the State House lawn. Listen, you're not a state police officer. You're the city. You can go over there, take off your stuff. We'll go smoke a joint and we'll laugh. We'll laugh. And I said, we'll laugh at the fact that everyone looks like a stormtrooper right now. I'm just going to say it. I'm just going to say, you all look like stormtroopers. Yep. And 9 times out of 10, they laugh. And then it's when other people hear you doing that, they're seeing that the cop is interacting with me too. The cop is maybe answering a couple questions, maybe, nodding their head in agreement. Whereas when you're saying, fuck you, fucking asshole, they're just like, getting ready. They're shaking their can, getting ready, and it's just, we have to be willing again, just like working with other groups we don't agree with, just like all of this, we got to work with one of the main groups we don't get along with, right? But we have to like at least try, like put on your, you know, your work face and be like, I got to get along with Becky and I fucking hate her. But you have to get along with Becky if you want to get the project done, right?
Right. So I want to ask a very special guest, as we've been talking about these very special. Kryssi, I love you. You're a very special guest. I don't want to take away your very special guest.
Thank you. This is the only thing that shows my dad I have friends. And if he hears my friends not say I'm special, then you guys ruin my facade.
Kryssi is very, very special. And I want to welcome another very, very special person who we were just talking about a tattoo on your neck, and we were just talking about kind of different approaches. And I think this person has one of the most inspiring different approaches, and I'm going to bring him in now. Mr. Vermin Supreme. How are you doing?
I love him. Is he muted?
Oh, are you on mute? You gotta unmute.
All righty, ponies. Are you ready?
Oh my God.
How about you, pony? Are you ready? Okay. And how about you, pony? Are you also ready? All righty then. Let's go, ponies. Giddy up, ponies. Faster, 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 faster. Whoa. Ponies! Now kiss! Mwah! 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 Aw, nice ponies. I like ponies. I hope you like ponies too. Excuse me, ponies. I need to get in here to do the show. Oh, could you back off some, maybe? Thank you, ponies. Hi, Dark. Hey, Kryssi, it's me, Vermin Supreme from the internet.
This is why I have you tattooed on my neck.
That looks wonderful.
That's a lot of weed, Vermin.
Got to grow it in my own backyard legally. Yay.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Not that you'd care either way, right?
Nah. But now I can show it happily and say ha 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 ha. And yeah, just hanging out, gonna smoke a little weed out of the Vermin Supreme glassware with the weed in my belly. Got the weed in my belly, and of course it has the feet are the carburetor, and the boot is the stem, and with the mouthpiece, so you can suck on my boot. Just like in real life.
That's wonderful.
Oh my God, I love him so much. I haven't stopped smiling since you came on, Vermin.
Oh, you've been smiling the whole show.
I'm high.
Nice to see you. Glad to be here. Thanks for having me. Yay!
Yeah, how you been? I hear you were just on another show earlier with our good friend, Mr. Spike Cohen and Matt Wright.
Yes.
How are they doing?
Well, it's been very chill, quite frankly. You know, I mean, it's such the off season for me, you know, as far as the campaign and pushing the thing and stuff. I mean, we do it a little bit. We do maintenance for sure. But, you know, in terms of me, like hyper promoting myself and doing podcast after podcast after podcast, you know, during the election season, it was like nonstop. And I got a little burnt out on it, and I'm very much loving not doing them. And so today was sort of fun because, you know, I definitely not doing the podcast. I'm definitely consciously making a decision not to do political podcasts. Because, you know, then people are going to ask you political questions and you got to give political answers, and fuck that shit. I'm going to do that stuff on your show. I don't think so. I'll, you know, we could talk over the fire with some beers or something, but, you know, I got no reason to pontificate over, you know, my opinion on this, that, or the other thing. So that's it's been nice, relaxing, and just, you know, keeping the Vermin Supreme Institute humming along. Which is a beautiful thing. It's nice to have the post-political podcast as part of the Vermin Supreme Institute family, if you will, under the umbrella or on top of the umbrella or holding the handle, or I don't know, whatever. But it's things are good. We're doing good things. We're having a good time, and life is good. Happy 420.
Yeah, I mean,
And
I brought up the Love and Action fundraiser that we were successful in the VSI group, and then more to come there. I think there's going to be a lot of good stuff that we're doing.
absolutely. I mean, we are a modest organization.
Yep.
We've got a modest endowment, modest aims. I bankroll the thing through Cameos, cameo.com/Vermin Supreme. I've earned $7,000 through doing cameos for people that goes straight to the Institute, so we can do good works and stuff. So that is like super cool. And hey, what more can you say? Vermin Supreme Institute.com is what you can say. Check out the website, check out what we're up to, read all about it, and we're always looking for volunteers and stuff. Absolutely true.
Yeah, that's awesome. It's been like one of the more fun kind of organizations to be a part of, that I was luckily able to start talking with you all, and I saw the kickoff and reached out to Des and wanted to get involved, and it's been amazing now being on the board and talking about kind of what this is going to be able to evolve to in the future as we kind of.
I mean, it's amorphous. I mean, because it was sort of from it was. It was the phoenix that rose from the ashes of my campaign. Ha ha ha! But because early in Spike Show, I was saying the campaign team was the chrysalis, and the Vermin Supreme Institute is the beautiful butterfly that it's become. So it's somewhere between those two things. It's somewhere between a fiery, flaming, burning ash phoenix thing and a nice little butterfly, formerly a caterpillar.
I like it. I like there's got to be something. We'll find a new species between those two, I think. And
of course, don't forget the Vermin Supreme commemorative 420 T-shirts are out. There's that logo, that same logo that you had tattooed on the back of your neck. Bless you, Christy. That's.
Did you call me Christy?
No, I did not. The T was silent. You didn't hear that, Christy. No. That was something stuck on my tongue.
Okay. Because I love you so much. You're so awesome. And you're so heavily involved in activism and de-escalation, and learning from you and just watching you over the years and just seeing
Kryssi,
how awesome you are. Like, I had to go and put my
You're very, very kind. Right across from Ron Paul there. We're looking. Are we looking at each other? No, or not?
No, you guys. So I have your logo, and then I have his initials in the font that he used in 2012.
Yes. Very good.
Yeah.
Very good.
So, but I have your head, and they actually, when they were coloring in the boot, they drew a penis in it first. So it's a
nice
boot.
Beautiful.
I got Spike's nipple. It's cartoonized, of course. Hannah Dupler drew it into a cartoon nipple, and that's on my ankle.
Cool. An interesting choice, a placement for a third nipple, but I'll take it. Sure, why not?
Vermin thinks now, he's like, wow, this bitch is weirder than I am, and I'm just really glad that I could be the one.
That's some very heavy hitting cultural pop icons you got on there, and I'm honored to be one of them, for sure. Absolutely.
If I'm gonna have memes on my body, I gotta have the best meme, right?
That's right.
Best memes ever. And of course, 420, as I was complaining about a little bit earlier, 420, it's a made up holiday. It's a Hallmark holiday. They just put it out there. It's really pretty random that it was like a time that hippies would get high, and now it's the date that it's a holiday and stuff. So I don't know. I guess it's okay, but it's not like 419, which is Bicycle Day, which is based on historical factual incident that occurred that we can certainly commemorate and celebrate. So there is that. The Bicycle Day was did y'all celebrate Bicycle Day?
I did not, but I want to hear more about it. I know because of you what that is, but I want our listeners and everyone to hear more about it.
Yes, but Bicycle Day is April 19th. It is the day that we celebrate. That is the commemorative day. That was the day in history. We'll just say it was for fact, just for fun. Somebody can prove me otherwise by Googling it or some shit. But the scientist, the chemist, Albert Hoffman, was testing out some new molecules, and he happened to accidentally ingest this new, exciting, synthesized chemical. He wasn't sure what it was actually going to do or be about or for, but lysergic acid diethylamine, I believe, and rode his bicycle home because he asked a friend to make sure he made it home, so they rode their bikes home, and it sounds as if though he had a slightly bad trip, sort of the really deathy part of it, but then he came through it and had a wonderful time and got much giggly and enjoyed the colors and lights and stuff. But yes, he opened up the gateways of perception, opened up a whole new way of looking at the world by twisting and bending your neurotransmitters. From my understanding of it, the chemical affects the brain by sort of like tweaking and bending the way the neurons fire, and so that's what is responsible for the altered perception and things. And I now I don't know if you know this about me, but when I was a young person, I used to love acid. I used to eat so much acid, like candy. In like high school and college, it's like whoa, good times. But very very recreational, but also obviously it gave me some serious insights and gave me a serious understanding of how to look at and how to treat reality. I think by stepping outside of the everyday reality as we understand it, we can have a greater understanding. By looking at it, it's like it's easier to really think about and figure out. And by stepping outside of reality, or through this doorway into this other dimension, which is obviously parallel to this dimension, because it doesn't get much more parallel than being here in real time, but not really, very different. And it just it allowed me to become the person that I am today. It allowed me to become a person that would wear a rubber boot on one's head and not think twice of it, just for absurd. I mean, and once again, the boot is the silliest thing in the damn world, but there it is. It's obviously like, what is wrong with this picture? Guy has boot on his head. That's weird. Yeah, yes, it is.
Yeah, I think it's wonderful. I mean, I kind of introduced you by saying, someone that also takes a different approach. I think it's wonderful. I know a lot of folks talk about, how silly it is, or and that's what's so wonderful. I mean, it's how do you not want to learn more about what you're talking about or what you're doing, and I think it's just such an incredible way to get people's attention and bring about attention to a lot of great causes that you do, and being able to disrupt things a bit. People are used to seeing people a certain way, and you're out there in protest doing things very differently, carrying a giant toothbrush and bringing pony. I just think it's like I said, I think you're able to capture just such a different group of people that would absolutely tune out to anything that you'd be talking about. But they are now engaged because of how awesome and different.
And a beautiful part of it for me is that, essentially I put myself in a position of exercising this character as a method of free speech in order to, it's like I have no limits. I have no real rules. I can do things that mere mortals are not allowed to do. I can, go places and do things and say things that are just not right, and that normal people would like it. Just you wouldn't know how to take it. And even when I say it, it's clearly intended to be in such a way that It's like a little Zen cone riddle, but dirty maybe.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, of course, the glassware is available on verminsupreme.com, our merch store. We'll soon have these kits. But the artist, Anthony Bradbury from liquidrainbowglass.com, spelled AY, is making, and he sent me a photograph, and I wish I could share it with you, but I'm too boomerish, a Vermin Supreme butt plug. It's the first one, and so it's very exciting. It looks like it has the heft and the shape that you want and need in a butt plug, and it has a Vermin Supreme head on the other end. So that's really cool. And he's promising to make a Vermin Supreme dildo also. So for people who enjoy glass penetration and things, with glass dildos and stuff. And so he's going to make that. We're gonna have it in the shop, and I think that's an exciting thing to be branching out into. Quite frankly, as a meme, I've been a lot of things. I've been a sandwich in Chicago. I've just been all sorts of things as a meme. So this is a natural extension of the meme line, I guess. Sure.
Some people get a tattoo. Some people get a butt plug.
Yeah. I mean, how I'm a tattoo now. I mean, damn. I mean, it's crazy. The places I've been as astrally projecting some sort of weird mutant notion of myself that has been accepted as some sort of reality or something, or once again, it's a parallel dimension. It's this parallel vermin that we've all created by believing in. Oh, look at people love it when I do that. Hey, I know what I should do. I should probably get my head on straight, if you know what I mean. Yeah! Ooh! Ah! I love you! Jeez!
Why are you our president? You're far less ridiculous.
That's better. Phew. That's part of my cameo. If you get a Vermin Supreme cameo, cameo.com/Vermin Supreme, you get that bit included. Not only that, you get the pony bit, the pony racing bit. That's how it opens. Then it goes into like, the head thing is first is like, okay, let's see, what do I need to do to get ready for my show? Oh, I know, I should fluff out my beard, tuck in my hair, and straighten my ties, and throw my ties all over. It's hilarious. Well worth the $30 that I've recently upped my price to. A bargain at twice the price. And not only that, you get the after I twist my head, I go, ooh, I need a sip of water. Oh, jeez. It's raining out in here again. So 3 spit takes. I mean, come on. That is amazing. That is
3 spit takes for the price of 1.
Exactly. I mean, yeah. Wow.
Bargain.
No, and I think it's I've seen a couple of the cameos, and I've getting your head on straight bit in the Vermin Supreme Institute intro. I was in stitches the first time I saw that. That was fucking hilarious. I mean, it's just it's wonderful. I got to see
pretty hilarious. It's pretty hilarious to be doing, and I get to do that stupid little segment, and then giving them their personal message, and they give the Vermin Supreme Institute money. It's pretty amazing. So yeah, yay.
Yeah, I just saw the thorium one that came up in the thorium caucus group, so that was wonderful.
And like some of them are pretty difficult asks, let me tell you. I had one person who hired me, like in their little thing was like, "Dear Vermin, my dog died. He's my friend for like so many years. I was hoping you could cheer me up. You make me laugh." It's like, wow, a little bit of pressure there. And had a couple mental health crisis. Somebody's reached out on Cameo, hired me to do a cameo. It's like, "Dear Vermin, I'm a vet. I'm an alcoholic. I'm depressed. can you encourage me or kick me in the ass? And it was pretty heavy cameo ask, but I gave him the resources and the reassurance, and that he could make it, along with a little bit of the funny stuff, because everybody gets that, and so definitely some interesting thing. So somebody wanted me to give a pep talk to their 13-year-old son who was spending too much time on video games. And eat right, young man. This is your Uncle Vermin speaking to you. And so the happy birthday ones are easy enough, and it's funny. Very
That's
funny.
awesome.
My son got a happy birthday from you when you were on my show, because it was on my son's birthday, and he wanted to meet you. I had Justin Amash on next, and he didn't even want to meet Justin Amash. He's like, oh, he was a Vermin fan.
That's awesome. Yeah, and it's pretty wonderful. The amount of smiles. I mean, just like Kryssi was saying, like I've been smiling the entire time we've been on.
Yeah, I mean, it's so funny. I mean, intergenerational. Parents reaching out to me, and like their kids are discovering me like independently of their parents, and it's like, oh, very long time fan. My kids just discovered you. Ha ha ha.
My son found you before I ever told him about it. He came when I said that I had Vermin Supreme coming on my show soon. I wasn't even talking to him. I was talking to my husband. My son was like from TikTok, and I was like, no. like Vermin Supreme. He's running for our nomination, and he was like, wait, the guy with the boot on his head, and I was like, yeah, and he's like, he's so cool that I've been in this party for 10 years. He has never said that before ever about the Libertarian Party.
That is so hilarious.
Yeah, but he told me about you, and I just let him. I pretended I didn't even know who you were.
Ha 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 ha.
And he was so excited because our show was actually on his birthday, and you saying happy birthday.
So I mean that's success. I mean, I feel like I'm a very successful individual because just inadvertently I have become a thing that so many people like, and like across the generations and across the demographic spectrums. And I just did a shout out for the Jewish Habibis, this little religious order that are fans and stuff. And so it's very cool. It's a very cool thing. And with it comes mild to some responsibility, I suppose.
Well, you're able to cross to different coalitions. That's like your thing. You have so many random sects of followers, like Comic-Con nerds, Dungeons and Dragons nerds. I'm sure in
my constituent portfolio, if you will. Yes, I have many subcultures and overlapping subcultures representing, and yes, if we can ever really stitch them together, quite the powerhouse that would make. But even as amorphous and tangentially connected,
you're like the bottom of the political spectrum, just in one.
Yeah, and it's wonderful being able to, I feel like people have a hard time kind of bridging those gaps and trying to actually have, open conversations about something they're super passionate about with folks that have very different views in other aspects.
Yes. I mean, you have to, talk about things that you're very passionate about dispassionately, I think.
Yeah, no, that's a good way to put it.
That's a hint. I mean, you can be very passionate about your issues, but when you're like pitching them or selling them, you have to do so in an almost dispassionate fashion, a little bit more cold and flat and calculated. A little bit separated from your enthusiasm for it, perhaps, if you want to, successfully sell it, maybe, or maybe I'm completely wrong.
No, I think that you're onto something there, because I think Kryssi and I were just talking about like how you kind of have to have folks that are not so entrenched in what you're doing to talk to, so that how to start talking with a lot of the folks that are outside of the group of 12 that are super passionate and enthusiastic about something. You talk very differently about that with them versus someone that you're trying to gain support from, or trying to just have at least open their mind and learn a little bit about it. So it's so true. I completely agree with what you're saying.
Vermin just does the chicken dance.
Yes. If all else fails, bust out the chicken dance and play it over your bullhorn and change things up really fast. The few times I've done it at police riots, it just once again it's simple, elegant, and effective, which is sort of the way I like things. Like the boot on head, simple, elegant, effective, and just as the police were coming in to make their arrests and slapping their shields and trying to be all scary, just like forcing them to do so. As an amplified version of the chicken dance played it was beautiful. It bucked up the protester spirits. This was a fuck the police march at the G8 summit, I think, in Pittsburgh, maybe many years ago. And that's when I discovered this particular little device of musical psyops. And it became a thing, a common theme for the protesters. And I met one of these protesters weeks later telling me it was the most fun he'd ever had being pepper sprayed. And they were in the transport vehicles and they're all cuffed and with zip ties and they're like and stomping their feet to the beat there. And it carried over into the jail cells as a part of a solidarity tactic where they were like doing the chicken dance up and down the fucking to all the jail cells for all the prisoners and stuff. So yeah, it just something that simple became a very effective in changing the moment and then carrying over into offering a focus for solidarity during a usually pretty stupid and isolating experience. So
yeah, no, I think that's another wonderful aspect of it is being able to in such an emotional, there's a lot of these situations are highly emotional. Both people are on edge, I guess, if you're standing on one side of the line of shields versus the other, and just that little bit of not a sigh of relief or anything, but just a little bit of humor can do a lot to really change that entire feel of that protest and kind of change the future of that protest.
There's the tension relief aspect of it for sure.
Yeah. And in your time traveling ways, changing the future, that thing had a certain progression that was going to happen if you didn't do that fun, chicken dance, and you change the course of time because you're able to inject a little bit of.
Like I say, that one time in New York, it was one of the conventions, and it was hot, and it was like a long day, and the cops were fucking had a long day, and they're all in there, because it's hot, and they're all have to wear the long cop clothing, which is ridiculously fucking hot to begin with, and all that nonsense. And I changed it up when it was looking a little hairy into because at the time they were in union contract negotiations, and so I got the crowd to chant, "Give the cops a raise," and change things up pretty fast, whether or not you support giving cops raises or not. As a little psyop funny bone thing to do, it worked pretty good.
Yeah. Talk about changing the entire feel of a room or the entire that changes the future progression of that.
It changed the cops' attitude pretty fast and pretty in a positive direction.
Yeah,
so it was that.
Yeah, and I feel like there's definitely I try and take the approach of having protests or marches and stuff as effective as possible is kind of the goal, and that might mean a bunch of different things to a bunch of different people, and I don't want to define it for someone else, but my effective the most effective way I think
let's not dance around the issue, but burning down police stations is a perfectly fine thing to do.
Yes. and that's something that, like I said,
making sure you can that nobody gets hurt. Let's say, let's give it that caveat. Let's burn the empty police structure, and then we can debate over is it legitimate property or is it state-owned property, and therefore it is illegitimate. And then we can jump back and forth between the January 6th bullshit.
Yes, no, I agree. I think it's important, like you said, the caveat of making sure that people are safe, and then at the end of the day, worrying about if the property's okay, we'll leave up to others.
Yeah, I mean that burning police, the American public agreed that they were for that more as opposed to against it. I mean they gave that a very high ranking and something that they supported, like 60% was it, or I don't know, something outrageous. Like really, okay,
I think it was, yeah. It was
and
eye opening to see,
yeah,
that much disdain for what was going on. And
yeah.
I said I let everyone define what the most effective outcome of the protest is to themselves. So
Yes, is the property safe? I think you referenced one of my most controversial tweet storms that I did that time, and that I think that I it was definitely in direct relation to, I think it was when that first cat got shot before Gavin, the loose, oh my goodness. But it bugged me quite a bit because he was loosely affiliated with the party, and some of our people sort of knew him.
yep.
I can't remember his name.
I cannot either. I know what you're talking about.
But and just the way that people were talking about that on the internet, as they're prone to do. I mean, people really talk smack on the internet, and I was having a, trying to emotionally process that, and in doing so, I came up with that series of tweets. Is the property safe? What was the property shot? Was the property wounded? And it was all these things about the property that should have been you would ask about people, and it was pretty strong, and I think it said what I wanted to say, but it seems to rub a fair amount of people of the wrong way because they're not reading the subtlety into it, perhaps.
Right.
But
Yeah, and I mean it's
that's
being
okay.
able to make that kind of a statement on being able to again shed the humanity back into the situation. I mean, folks are not talking to people in the way that they should be, and they're worried about different things because of whatever agenda they're trying to push or whatever. I think that was incredibly great commentary, and people, like you said, people took it at face value and got really bent out of shape, and then there were people that actually were able to kind of see past that and understand the point you were trying to make, and I think those people walked away
I
with
didn't
it.
walk it back, baby. I didn't walk it back.
It's good.
Well, it's just like when you say you beat someone when they die, no matter who they are. Sometimes you get shit for it, but you never take it back.
Oh, I got so much shit, and I knew it going in. It's like, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, this is going to cost me a lot of trouble, and then hit the button. People are, I mean, I just knew going in that people were going to be very upset by that, and some people, some people did get very upset about it, sadly, but hey, it wouldn't have been, real not to.
Yeah, life is tough. Laughing about it is the least we can do.
Yeah,
right.
It's a little celebration of mortality, if you will.
It's more fun to have fun. Like,
yeah.
if you
I
can
mean,
have fun in
no
your life,
spite. There's not a mean bone in my body, even when I'm talking smack to somebody.
I know you're just an equal opportunist.
Yeah, yeah. And having a little bit of a social media team is always a little is pretty fun and interesting, because like I'll go to my various accounts and it'll be like, I said what now? And I'll say, well, I guess that sounds like something I might say. Okay. Well, I guess I said that then, and people start liking it, or it becomes a little controversial, or whatever.
You probably are feeling like you're going crazy because you're like, oh shit, did I write that?
Oh no, it's usually pretty clear. I usually don't get too confused. But it's just some of the casual viewers that it's hard to tell sometimes. Who's writing what and stuff, who's singing out what.
Yeah, and it's important, like having social media teams and stuff. We were talking about this a couple weeks ago, I guess. Having voice and being able to learn, how another person puts together a sentence, even and do that. That's a whole nother skill that I think is just pretty amazing. Just as a side note, but no, and I think
yes. That's been a really amazing result of the campaign and the VSI. Just having people on board, working on this project that, I brought to a certain point, and it's taken this whole village of idiots to push this idiot up as far as I've gotten in the heap or whatever. So
Caitlin, like the head of the village of idiots, is she like the chief idiot?
She's right there, and she's a top tier idiot for sure. We have a lot of top tier idiots. We have several top tier idiots here today. I'd like to welcome all you top tier idiots to the show today. It's a pleasure to be here on the show with you, top tier idiots. In fact, maybe that's the name of my new podcast. Welcome to Top Tier Idiots. I'm Vermin Supreme. Today we have Kryssi Wichers and Derek Britton, some very fine people in their respective fields, and we're gonna find out what makes them tick.
Kryssi, what makes you tick?
The butt plug will probably make me tick.
No, it's probably one of the most wonderful compliments I've ever had is being called a top tier idiot. No, it's wonderful to be part of the top tier.
Yeah, we're the top. Are we like the 1%ers?
We're top of the heap. Yep. High grade. Well, I don't want to say high grade morons because I believe that has.
Well, I'm high.
May have some medical thing. I don't know. It might be ableist. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
Idiot might be also, for all I know. I don't know. This with all these kids these days, and a lot of people are very touchy about things that you don't even know that people are touchy about, and you don't find out about them until you somehow misuse a phrase or something. And then you hear about it, and it's like, oh, I did not know that. I will reassess my use of that phrase. Okay.
I think a lot goes to say something about a person, how they react to it, though. Like what you just said, like, oh, I'm going to reassess how I use that. Not everyone has that reaction. And I think that just speaks to the kindness that you have in your heart, Vermin. So, because other folks do not have that same reaction. And I think it says a lot about you as a person, just to throw that out there.
Yeah. I had to apologize a little back. I was working with these improv kids, and in one of the improv games is like, sex with me is like a lobster. And so people would have to say something, and I just like it was improv. And it said, because I'm attracted to traps, and I had to apologize for that.
Interesting.
I didn't know. I knew it was a little dicey, but I don't know.
Yeah, no,
it was just it was a quick boom. It just worked in the context of the comedy bit, not realizing that it was a little bit of a slur to that community.
Yeah,
maybe.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, a lot of people self-embrace it, so there is that too, and use it as a self-describer. So there is that too. So I don't know.
Yeah, no, and it's interesting to try and, like you said, learn and do the best you can, reassessing how to use it going forward and talking to folks that are maybe impacted by that. No, it's interesting.
So hey, let's remember this is 420, so I think it's a perfect time to talk about Jo Jorgensen and her edibles habit. That woman eats a lot of edibles. On the campaign trail, she was known as a cannabis eating monster, and I don't see how she particularly functioned during the debates by eating the pot-laced brownies or whatever before them. And I can see how the rumors of her heroin use came into being. But let me assure you that she was just nodding off on Adam Kokesher's bus because she smoked so much weed. Okay. And she had so many edibles, and that let me just say for the record, to the best of my knowledge, Jo Jorgensen does not do heroin. Okay. To the best of my knowledge. Now, I have seen her nod off on the edibles, and she does smoke weed sometimes. Now, there's this one time on Adam's bus, it was me, it was Jo Jorgensen, it was Jacob Hornberger, and we were blazing fucking I almost had fucking Hornburger sold on Ponynomics.
I would to be a fly on a wall somewhere. That sounds
Just made that shit up. But
so speaking of stories, Vermin, I'd love. We were talking a little bit earlier on some of the Occupy protests and stuff, and I'd love to hear a couple of Vermin stories from the stuff that you did during Occupy, because I know that was a big time, and I've heard some of the stories, and I'd love to hear some more.
Yeah, I mean, I only made it to New York Occupy once or twice, and the moment that I got there, it was Zuccotti Park. It was a whole lot of people crammed into this area, and a lot of them living there. And I was sort of on the edge near a food truck, and I somehow got in between this guy with a knife and some guy he wanted to stick with a knife or something like that. And it's like, whoa, what's going on here? Hey, buddy, come here. And I didn't know. They both had their reasons or whatever. So that was exciting. And after that, walked through the park, and it was all these little microcosmic things. It was like, very Rainbow Gathering-esque, urban style. They had the little library, they had the kitchen going on, they had the food prep area, they had the workshop area, all that stuff going on. They did have that weird Occupy hippie insistence on the mic check thing.
Yeah.
And that may have, I'm not saying it's not completely impractical, but in terms of as a decision-making body, using that in place of some other.
Do you know what mic check is, Derek?
No, I mean, I'm interested to learn.
So they yell mic check, and you repeat mic check, and then they say like 3, 4, 5 words, and then you repeat it to them, like the whole crowd repeats it, so everyone can hear it. So you say like a couple lines at a time. Like, my name is Kryssi, and then everyone goes, my name is Kryssi. And then you say, I'm here to protest police brutality. And they say, we're here to protest police brutality. And it does that the entire time. Yes.
And occasionally I would do things like, stop repeating me. Stop it. Stop saying what I'm saying. Hey, everybody, knock it off. And that was pretty funny. Yeah, here's human megaphones for sure. So that was good. Surrounded by cops. Yeah, I think I spent the night. Occupy Boston. I was able to take the train down on weekends and things like that. And it must have been during the week too, because I remember I took up this corner of the place. It was across from the financial district. So at the end of the work day, there was these lanes of traffic and the lights, and people would inevitably cross over that first little lane and get up on the curb there before crossing all the way. And every time I would accuse them of breaking the law, and being scofflaws and breaking the law, and then I would try and get the police to arrest them through my bullhorn. That was pretty fun. It was a pretty fun routine. It's what I like in a routine. I get to say the same thing over and over again. That's why the cameos are appealing. But it's like the light would change and you get a new audience. So give another 30, 40 second spiel, and then boom, new audience. And so that was a lot of fun. And that encampment itself was a very sweet setup, and certainly had all its wild adventures of, hey, we got a sink, and the police are saying, you can have a sink, but we have a sink. No, you can't have a sink, you can't use a sink, but we have all these people living here. There's a battle with the sink, and just pointless points of people trying to throw their authority around and stuff. The Boston police, they were pretty smart about ending the damn thing, because they put out a fake time when they were going to do it. They said, we're like dismantling the camp this day. And so like thousands and thousands of people showed up. It was a great party in the streets, and like, victory. They didn't, but then the next night they came and crushed the camp. But it was a beautiful thing while it lasted. Of course, taking over public space is always a wonderful thing and a good thing and a right thing to do. IMO. The Occupy the New Hampshire primary, which was in 2012, was probably the last Occupy thing that we did, and because it seemed like a natural flow, and we put in the call to make it an Occupy style thing, and for the middle of the winter, we had a decent showing, and it was very good because 2012, once again, it was one of those years that was in that campaign in New Hampshire was pretty critical to my libertarian stepping stone journey thing, where our campaign headquarters was at this woman's house, and she was a libertarian. So okay, that's cool. And but and I started knowing a bunch of the libertarians from the Free State Project, and at any campaign event, we went to Rick Santorum, we went to Newt Gingrich, just everybody who was running, we would all show up. And so it was a beautiful thing because there was like these decent sized crowds coming from slightly different perspectives. And so there was the Free State or Libertarian folks, and there was the Occupy folks, but they were both like there. And because it's New Hampshire, because it's sort of a small state, and anybody doing politics on that level pretty much knows each other, it's pretty nice. Everybody's like pretty cordial to each other, all in all. And that was a whole lot of fun because we would have the two they're not polars, but they're different parts of the Vermin Supreme constituent portfolio, if you will. And because at any moment, at any of these events, and we were dogging these fuckers hard, man. We showed up at the Rick Santorum event, and I took over his podium before he was there, and started speechifying, and eventually his people came and threw me out, but not after I had a good time with it. And then there were so many people there. The fire inspector came, shut the thing down, and he had to move it outside. So not only were all these people there to see him, and in New Hampshire, it's like maybe half of them are supporters, if that, but in the rest are just political looky-loos and the protesters. So we were like, yelling all this crazy shit at him. And I almost loaned him my megaphone. One of his campaign cronies gave me his car keys in exchange, and they handed up the megaphone, and he looked at the megaphone. He was going to do it, but then he looked at it, had the Vermin Supreme sticker on it. And so he put it down. It was listed as one of the top 10 missed photo ops of that year. And
I imagine.
Yeah, so we shut down Newt Gingrich because he turned tail and ran because we surrounded his campaign headquarters where he was supposed to be having the event. It was also the year where I discovered that if you have a bullhorn and you put it up against the glass window of an establishment, it will resonate inside the building. So that's a handy, helpful hint for you. And so I was using that to great effect to be extremely annoying. And and in fact, the Occupy the primary, because they were such a strong constituent base of mine, especially in that year, and because I was inviting them essentially, and part of the organization or the loosey goosey organization as such as is, during the lesser known candidate debate. You've seen the 5-minute clip where glitter bomb Randall Terry as the ending of it, but the part that's not included, that if you go to the C-SPAN original debate, which is up there, much higher definition, quite frankly, you will see that after I glitter bomb Randall Terry, after the moderator tries to establish order, after the thing's sort of officially over, I stand up, I shake Randall Terry's hand. He's shaking my hand, and I did a mic check. I said, mic check. Welcome to the New Hampshire primary. You have been occupied. And that was our little that was our little my nod to the Occupy.
Right.
But it wasn't included in the clip that the original clipster made. Now, I think they may have done me a favor in doing so, in that because that clip was perceived to be so nonpartisan and so ridiculous and so over the top, that is what sort of gave me the spectrum of the political base. People from right or left, they knew I wasn't attacking them or their party per se or their candidate per se. It was a much more meta, crazy take on the system. And because it didn't include the Occupy, it didn't give away, that part of my perceived political alliances or what have you. So.
Right. Oh, that's an interesting take on that too. And I actually I didn't know that part existed because I had only seen the clip that has been popularized. So
There is that, and then so you can check that out.
Yeah, no, I definitely will. That's cool to know a little extra tidbit there. Yeah, and it's cool.
But what about Joe Jorgensen's edibles problem? None of our business? Are you just saying it's none of our business? Shouldn't we step in? Shouldn't we have an intervention?
What about her dungeon problem?
That's where she does a lot of the edibles. I'll be presenting her with the Vermin Supreme Glass Dildo and Butt Plug gift set during the during the inauguration of the Sex Dungeon. I hope to get an invitation, but I will. Joe, if you're out there, I got the gift set. It's the Vermin Supreme Dildo Butt Plug gift. Does
it come with instructions?
Yes, and lube.
That's wonderful. A wonderful addition to the
Vermin Supreme brand lube.
Yeah.
Vermin Supreme, of course. You have a branding team now, basically. So of course it's Vermin Supreme lube. Why wouldn't it be?
And by the way, that the Vermin Supreme shirt, I grabbed that the first day that Tyler announced that it was out. So when he sent it out to the group of us, I grabbed one, and I can't wait till it comes in the mail.
Very cool. Very cool.
So on the bowl that's wonderfully done in glass that we see you smoking.
I've got all the new ones. I meant to grab there's several other ones from that he just put out. I'm sorry I don't have them with me. Should I run and get them? I could.
You could. I mean, that would be cool to see if you are inclined to. That would be wonderful to kind of see all the different ones.
Give me like 1 minute. I know it's terribly unprofessional and all, but of course, tonight's episode brought to you by Aleppo sauce, Trader Joe's honey Aleppo sauce.
Where's Aleppo?
It's in the cabinet, honey.
We will see Vermin in just a second. I'll pull him and we can talk a little bit more. Vermin Supreme, I mean, the man, the myth, the legend. He's just such a wonderful guy, and being able to bring people in with the humor that he does, I think is just the best thing in the world.
Right. And it's like people have to understand he's not his character 100,000% of the time. He has a character, and it's so brilliant, even just watching him go back and forth, because it's like, how do you go from just like having a regular conversation to just like playing with your ponies and making them kiss? And that's just, Vermin is just, he's playful and he's fun. And that's how he's gotten so many youth to not only follow him, but look into his ideology, which is libertarianism. And so they learn, they learn freedom, and they learn, kindness at the same time. And it's amazing. When he did the contest for all of the different candidates that were running for our nomination, were raising money, and with their link, and whoever, got the most money won the contest. He beat all the other candidates combined. And he's just like, he's got a huge reach, and his reach goes past, being just a libertarian. His reach goes into just being a kind, fun human that you can have fun with, and that he's fun to watch, and he's fun to be around. And he's always got weed, and that's great.
And just incredibly kind. I mean, just you hear it in anything that he talks about, even when he's being openly controversial about something to bring light to it or something. I mean, just such a kind and wonderful person to be around. I've been lucky enough to spend some time with Vermin. It's been pretty great. It looks like we have him back with
stop blowing smoke up my ass. Stop blowing smoke up my ass. I could hear you.
Look, he's got a bunch.
This is awesome.
Yes. So check out these are pens. Hi, I'm Vermin. Hi, I'm Vermin too. Hi, Vermin. Can you find the camera? I'm looking for the camera. Here, look at my face. The detail is amazing. Oh, why is it so hard to position such a small thing next to the camera hole? I don't know. Do you know, Vermin? No, I didn't know either. But anyway, these are pens, so you can write with them. So they're very cool, and this is the slightly larger Vermin Supreme pipe. And it's really funny because they just all sort of have different funny little faces. They're definitely all different funny faces. And so this has the traditional belly bowl, the traditional megaphone. You'll notice the small glass megaphone in Glass Vermin's hand. That's pretty cool. Pretty cool detail. He did have a toothbrush in the prototypes, but they were just too small and they broke off too easily. This is another version. This is the butt bowl, the back bowl, where the bowl is. So if you're smoking me, I can't see you smoke me. That's the thing. So I prefer the belly bowl, but he was liking the back bowl because he thought he could add more neckties and more details. You can see it says 420, right?
Yeah.
So that's the trade-off. That's the trade-off we have. Now, interestingly, when he first sent me this pipe, I had it on there. I was very excited about it, and I'm like, I just happened to note that the back of the head, the hair looked a little sparse. That's all. I just made a mention of it, and then the next thing I know, he sent me a picture of all this gray glass tubing that he bought. Vermin, I'll fix that. So now with much thicker, luxuriant hair like my own. So,
more factually accurate.
Yes.
The hair. That's wonderful. No, those are awesome. And great job. Those are real. I've seen them multiple times now through Zoom and stuff.
Oh yeah.
And the detail is
imagine awesome. A big, long glass vermin shoving up your butthole. Yeah? Yeah?
Do you think anyone has made like a Joe Jorgensen pipe or a Joe Jorgensen butt plug?
No, I'm looking forward to the butt plug. Y'all like butt plugs, right? Derek?
I mean, of course. Who doesn't like butt plugs?
Who doesn't like butt plugs?
Who doesn't like butt plugs? Derek likes butt plugs in his butthole.
Like butt plugs, yeah. Yeah. So I think we're really on to hear something now with this whole, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
I mean, the possibilities are endless at this point. It's
yeah, pretty much.
Wonderful.
We can make you into anything.
Yeah.
Yes, we need Vermin Supreme pasties.
It's like that song that I wrote, I Am a Meme. Yeah, it's true. I am a meme. I take my coffee with cream. I am a meme. I'm on your computer screen. I am a meme. Like an electronic dream. I am a meme. I am the Brody's queen. Me. Remember that? That was
I do.
Cool, right? That was a cool song.
I've never seen it live though. This is pretty wonderful to catch that live.
Yeah.
You have live performances on your show, Derek.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, this is a new territory for me. Breaking new ground. Speaking of which, actually, I really enjoy it
because I don't do political podcasts these days. So yeah,
that's right. This is post-political, so it's
right. Yeah.
Yeah. No, so one of the things I enjoy thoroughly that I wanted to mention as well is the walks you have on the beach and just kind of the go live events that you do on your different social medias. I think those are wonderful, and I see a ton of people mentioning them and talking about them and commenting when I watch them as well. So
yes, I suspect I've probably had hundreds, if not thousands, of viewers in the past over a year, I guess, and once again, they were a direct response to the COVID pandemic. It truly was. I was feeling like this thing in the air, and I just wanted to offer people an opportunity to take a very chill walk through the woods. or a walk on the beach, or I think the overarching theme and narrative is finding a body of water with reflections on it. And sometimes I'll talk, and sometimes I might not talk. Depends how I feel, if I feel like talking or not. A lot of the times I'll, just greet the viewers and, answer their questions. So that's, and so, sometimes there's questions and sometimes there's not. And sometimes people are just sort of chatting amongst themselves. And, but, I think during the pandemic, it was something that I was definitely doing daily. It was a daily event. I was doing it every darn night. Just reaching out to the people in cyber audience and sharing a little bit of nature with them. And it was very cool. We saw the seasons change. We saw things grow. We saw, the random wildlife that shows up around our house. We saw some deer. We saw some beaver. That was like super cool.
Yep.
And I don't know if you can hear tonight, but the frogs. Can you hear that?
A little bit in the background. I think the noise cancellation built into the program drowns out a lot of it.
Oh, that would be, yes. And so like I probably did that for 5 days in a row recently. Frog casts. I was doing some frog casts, just going down, catching the last bit of sunlight, and then transitioning to the frogs. And in a few nights, I've gone down there. Total darkness. It's just like a dark podcast. It's just a live stream where all you can hear is frogs and see people type into each other. So those have been pretty fun. Also, maybe I'll do one of those tonight, just for fun.
Yeah, that's awesome. No, and I remember one in particular where you did, you actually were looking out at some of the things you were growing and also the rain coming down. And it was just wonderful. Like you could hear the rain. It was really relaxing just to watch as well. I like I said, I enjoy them thoroughly. Whenever I get the notification or whatever that you're live, I'll usually tune in at least for some part of the time if I can. And
yeah, and it's I very much enjoy it also because otherwise it would unlikely be that I would stop at that beach. It would be unlikely that I would stop and walk out on those rocks.
Yep.
Maybe I'd be taking a walk through my immediate woods, sure, but I think when I'm just like thinking that, I'm going to share that with my viewers, and I'm driving around, and this would be a real nice place to spend a few minutes with people and share the beauty. So that is super cool. The Lady Slippers will be coming up soon. I mean, that was a whole series last year, 1 year ago. Oh, look, the Lady Slippers are starting to come up. Oh, look, here they come. Oh, they're here. Whoa. Totally.
That's great.
Yeah, I'm very, very lucky. I've been very, very blessed with this opportunity and this, this cheap rent and all that good stuff. Yeah, it's been something that has really subsidized my activism, I guess, quite frankly. I mean, sure, there's been that.
Yeah, so I think there's a bunch of kind of different topics that you hit, and like we were talking a little bit before about being able to bring together kind of the Occupy and the Libertarian folks and stuff. I think because of the different not causes I think the different things that you care about that you are bringing to light and doing the different protests to, just bring a bunch of different folks that care about those things. We were just talking about it a little bit earlier, right before you came on, about how, if you pick a specific thing like cannabis legalization or, trying to actually change laws that are on the books about homelessness and things like that, where you can't feed
bite-sized chunks, manageable segments of the overwhelming cavalcade, avalanche of terrible things. Oh, yeah. I mean, if you can just, pick one out that resonates with you and run with it. More power to us all to do just that. Finding like-minded people who agree that injustice is something that you or I want to work on. And I've just been once again, very, very lucky that I have found a way to, because it's all communicating. It's using your First Amendment right. It's trying to change things, call things out. All of those things, and I have just stumbled across this particularly interesting way that I'm glad I did.
That's wonderful.
I can be as stupid as I want to be, and nobody cares.
And actually playing into it, you get folks being able to play along a bit, which is fun. No, it's cool. I think being able
it operates on so many different levels.
Right.
I catch people quipping that how they've understood me differently. From when they were a kid. I was a fan when I was in school, and then they have a different appreciation for different parts of it. So it's affirming, I guess. I mean, it is. It's testament to the success of the communication strategy that I have developed. That's about all I can say in a dispassionate fashion. And
it's nice being able to, like you said, kind of pick those digestible bits and being like, you find you working with a bunch of different folks that you might not agree with everything else that they agree, but you agree on this one thing. And that's kind of the beauty. And that's what I try and kind of preach on the show is really just taking those one specific thing that you really care about, that you really want to see changed, and working with whoever else wants to change that with you. No matter what letter is next to their name when you go to a ballot box, or what they believe in some other spaces.
People get so attached and so worked up and so overworked up about that whole sports team mentality. I mean, it's just like why do you self-identify with a particular party? Maybe perhaps a particular moral compass or set of values that you like to live your life by. Yeah, sure, but a party that only partially or marginally represents that. It's like, no, you won't believe how attached I am to my ideology, and I'm going to own you.
And even using, so I've seen some people fall into a trap where they associate so closely with that they'll change their views to fit, better in that little box that they wanted to put themselves in as well. And I think it's kind of a wonderful, beautiful thing that we're all different, and we all have completely different things that we care about, we're passionate about, and we should embrace that more than fighting, against that.
Back to, I mean, even within the Libertarian Party, I mean, I haven't been with it long, but you see people coming from this direction and then zing the other way, and I've seen it happen both ways. It's like, whoa, and it's it's like wild. So, sometimes they end up some other place in the party, or sometimes they end up way off somewhere else outside of the party. It's like, that was interesting. That was a short visit, but apparently a transformative one, because now there's something totally else. Okay. All right. It's very interesting. It gives me hope and frightens me.
I was just going to say it can be definitely a good thing and a bad thing depending on where they're coming and going too.
Right.
So,
right.
But no, it's an interesting commentary on how folks change their beliefs over time, and how different things influence them. I think, you see typically people in younger generations being more specifically passionate about some of the more social aspects versus some other things. But it's changing based on massive dramatic things that are happening, gross injustices they're seeing, or you can see, different activist groups start growing in different ways because of it.
Speaking of Occupy, I would just like to tell your audience about Who is Vermin Supreme? Documentary, because that documentary, is Occupy heavy for sure. Yeah. It's pretty much supposedly a documentary about me and my career, and it's all those things. And I even took it up with the filmmaker. It's like, I didn't do that much with Occupy, but he felt it was an important theme to pull out of the air and tie into the moment, and made it sort of a bigger part of my story than I thought was worthy. But I was willing to let it slide for the narrative, I guess, that he was creating. But it's a very fun movie, and he's he has some things to say about Occupy for sure, specifically, and covers a lot of it.
Yeah, it was interesting. I have watched it as well, and yeah, it's I learned more things as well, and was able to, and knowing you a short period of time here, I guess, but I learned a lot of things that I didn't know, and got to see different aspects of things that you do, which is kind of cool. It's fun. It's definitely worth checking out, folks.
No one trick pony, not me, no siree. Horse of a totally different color, quite frankly. And of course, movies, that's on Vimeo now. Also, I might point out Vermin Supreme. Who is Vermin Supreme on Vimeo? That's the prequel. And then the sequel is This is Vermin Supreme, because that's the movie that answers the question that's asked in the first title of the movie. Because the title is Who is Vermin Supreme? And the answer is the other title, This is Vermin Supreme. And I think there's a couple other variations in the pipeline coming out soon.
Not great.
So those two are on Vimeo. Yeah, check them out on Vimeo. And let's see what else. Vermin Supreme Institute.com, of course. Full disclosure, I believe we're a sponsor, or you're a sponsor, or something. I don't know. We got a thing going on.
Yeah,
we got a thing going on. I mean, it's fun. It's fun. Here I am under my own umbrella. Sort of.
As Desiree put it, under the boot, under your own boot.
Okay. Oh, that's weird. Are there any ethical concerns in that? Or now that we've done full disclosure, it's all good?
I think it's all good. I mean, as long as we use our power for good, I think that we're in good shape.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I don't think there's anything. Now, is there anything advantageous to it? Can I bill you, and can we use that imaginary bill to like get a matching this or that or something? Can we turn into an NFT maybe, and a non-fungible token, and fungulate it or something?
That's something I haven't quite gotten into yet. I've heard about them on the outside, but I have not. Kryssi, do you know anything about that? Because I know your interest in crypto has risen over the last year. The non-fungible token stuff. Have you seen or heard much on that? I don't know much about it. So
kind of, it's like you take like something digital and like turn it into like it's like a thing that you can sell. Like it's like a thing. And so I'm on lots of weed right now. I'm like about to die. So you can't ask me anything hard. Like ask me what color like my wall is or something.
What color is your wall, Kryssi?
It is pot leaf color.
All right, good answer. From the NFTs are like, okay, the Wu-Tang Clan album that they produce, one of a kind album. So that is your NFT. Now, it can be shared. It could be, he could make cassettes off it, or other copies, or put it up on YouTube or MP3s or whatever the kids are into these days. And it doesn't matter, because he has like the only Wu-Tang album that they pressed, because he bought it, because Martin Scarelli, the dude, bought it. And so I think so that's sort of how it works. So I know I don't totally understand it either, but and I made one. My first non-fungible token. And you can dial it up on the internet. Just type in what is an NFT, Vermin Supreme, and it's this like short clip of me saying, "What the fuck is a non-fungible token?" That's it, and that becomes a non-fungible token. And apparently, you can see it, you can watch it repeatedly, but it doesn't devalue what we're trying to sell. And what we're trying to sell is the original, which seems to be the one that we uploaded. and the blockchain technology is once again involved in guaranteeing that. And so that has to go through a whole series of people doing serious equation problems and things of that nature in order to. And once again, blockchain, from what I understand, it's like a padlock, and it's like a combination lock. And you want to link up, line up all the pins and whatever. Yeah. And so like each person, separate people doing separate tasks to achieve each one of these numbers that become the combination. Well, apparently in doing so, it's causing a lot of pollution.
Yeah, I've heard some of that piece.
Carbon footprint. Because once I started putting mine up on, a whole bunch of fucking environmentalists start like, oh, vermin, and we can't believe you're doing that now. Oh, you suck.
Well, I have one more person we should ask about if they know what a non-fungible token is, and that is Mr. Spike Cohen. How you doing?
Oh no, you
won't. Whoa, look at Spike Cohen, everybody! Whoa!
Hey, everybody!
I have your nipple on my ankle.
That's true.
Did you like your Easter card?
What's that?
Did you like your Easter card?
I've received it. Yes. Yeah, no, I definitely answered how I feel comfortable answering. So non-fungible tokens, guys.
Right here. Get your non-fungible tokens.
Yeah, that's all.
You can't fungate these. Can you fungate these? I don't think so.
There's no fungibilizing those. No. I know just enough about them to say I don't really understand them, but my basic understanding is that they are a piece of artwork available on the blockchain that can't be funged.
Because it's non-fungible.
Because it's not fungible. If it were a fungible token, we could funge the thing all day long.
But you can't funge it if it's not.
You can't funge it non-fungible.
Spike, I think my understanding comes from trying to liken it to the Wu-Tang album that there was just one pressed, and that's sort of
except this is on the internet.
Except it's imaginary.
It's imaginary, yeah. The Wu-Tang album, there was an actual physical album that was bought by Martin Shkreli.
But he could make copies of it if he wanted to. He could sell cassette tapes of it, 8-track tapes of it. He could put it up on YouTube or an MP3 if he wanted to. But he was still fungible. He still has the and the reason I know that if you type
person, we have one more person we can ask about that, and that is Matt Wright.
What's going on?
We're asking about fungible tokens. So
what does fungible even mean?
You know where we can get any? Got any? It's 420. Got any fungibles?
Fungible tokens only grow in like cow manure after it rains. One of my buddies is actually working on this thing for for NFTs, and it's a really cool new thing. He actually wants to come on Spike's show, my show, the Muddied Water, whichever show he can get on, to talk about it, where people buy NFTs into movie production. And you would own like a piece of the movie, and then you would get returns on the movie as you're getting it. It's a really cool system. He explained it to me one night.
Just that piece,
and then you could sell it for like you could sell it or gain more. Like the way he explains it is really good. We talked about it one night very late, and I don't remember everything, but I was very excited for him, and I'm excited for that project to take off.
So what is fun?
You can't funge it though.
You can't. Yeah, I don't know. I have no idea what that. I have no clue what that means.
You can cash it out. You can sell it.
Right now, I made one of these things, and it's like me saying, "What the fuck is a non-fungible token?" That's all I say in this clip, and this clip is now a non-fungible item that you could purchase. I sold actually to the guy who made it for like $123.45. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and he thought we'd clean up on it and like tried to sell for 300 and now it's down to like 150. I don't know, but if you want to invest in the future, you probably want to go right now to know what is an NFT and buy that sucker, because that's going to appreciate, because that's the original and only Vermin Supreme NFT in existence. But the weird thing is, you can see it in its entirety. If you type in what is an NFT Vermin Supreme, you're going to see it. But you can own it. You can see it for free. Why am I buying the milk when the cow is free?
Right.
So that doesn't count as funging it, I guess. That's what we've defined.
Are we like defining this word by like eliminating the definitions it could be?
What it is, yeah. So I have the non-fungible here, but apparently fungible it's up to 162.75. But apparently a funging does not mean viewing, because I'm literally looking at it right now.
You're seeing it. How can you own it, and how can you own it exclusively at that point? What if it's already been pirated?
Well, I guess like movies.
Why isn't
movies are pirated.
Yeah, I think you own like the original. You can say you own the original digital copy, the only original digital copy,
like comic books,
like the Wu-Tang Clan album.
Right. Yeah, like Skrelly's Wu-Tang.
I guess that's the only thing. That's the only thing I can grok to and have it make sense.
It's the
we were
future,
just talking
man.
earlier about Vermin being very popular with some of the younger generation. They're all just laughing at us that we have no idea. That the group of 5 of us old people have no idea what they're talking about, and some 13-year-old kid knows exactly what it is.
Are we the boomers?
I want to make a fungible token.
No,
and because I think what's holding this back is the fact that you can do everything to these things but funge them, and I don't like being limited. I don't like being limited. I don't like being told what I can do with my token. If I want to funge the thing, it's my token. And so I'm going to be starting right now. We are going to do PFTs, which are pro-fungible token. We actually encourage you to funge the damn thing. And we're gonna take off.
That's beautiful.
What's the difference between the non-edible and the edible tokens?
The edible? I don't know. Well, as you said on my show,
you would have to ask Joe Jorgensen.
We'd have to ask Joe Jorgensen, queen of the edibles.
Yeah. Once again, Joe Jorgensen is not on heroin, to the best of my knowledge. Okay. Yeah. I just want to say that here again on this show, to the best of my knowledge, not on heroin.
Best of his
not on heroin.
Not on heroin.
We have no reason
to
think
he's been trying to spread this rumor. He came here and told us too.
Right.
No, but the important part is that she is not on heroin.
Right.
She's not. I mean, clearly.
If she was, that's her business. It's her business.
It is.
It's none of her business if it is, really.
And if she was on heroin and managed to go to all of those states, I'm just impressed.
Really? Yeah. Good on her.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like that Harvard professor I saw on my feed. Yeah. Yeah.
What's the safe word?
That was one of the most succinct and beautiful little silences.
Oh no. Carl Hart. Dr. Carl Hart. She's the Carl Hart of the Libertarian Party.
I don't know who that is.
I have no idea who that is.
He's a professor, he's a Harvard professor that's telling people that he's a regular heroin user, and that's perfectly fine.
Good stuff.
But to the best of our knowledge.
Best of our knowledge, definitely not.
So I remember I got in trouble many years ago for a drug charge, and I had to take those classes. And I remember when I was taking the drug classes, the teacher said, "Heroin will never kill you." And I just kind of stared at him. I was like, "You're my government drug teacher?" And he was like, "Heroin will never kill you. It's what they cut it with that will kill you."
That's nearly get you.
So do some pure heroin.
Right. Just do pure heroin. You're going to be fine.
Just do pure heroin. It's not the heroin, it's the tarry part. That's where they get you.
Yeah. It's the fentanyl that they put in it.
What you need is some non-fungible heroin. And then you're golden.
You might be onto something here.
It might be.
Those NFHs
funging the heroin.
Probably fentanyl.
Right.
Wow. It's a token that you can't lace with fentanyl.
Perfect. That's why you can sell it.
That's why it has no value.
So you're going to make the PFT, so the pro-fentanyl token.
So folks, I'd just like to make it clear that I am sober and have been for 15
I'm
years.
not.
No, I know. No, Matt and I are the only sober people. Derek might be sober. I don't know.
I like how you're like, no, I know you're not.
I know. Yeah.
Well, gentlemen, I once again want to welcome you again to my podcast,
That's
Top Tier Idiots. And
Yeah, he called us top tier idiots.
you are definitely some top tier idiots in the book, in my book, and in the movement, and in general. And so I just wanted to, welcome you to my show. Thank you. It's good to be here.
Started from the bottom. Now we're top tier idiots. I like it. I'm happy. I like that Kryssi is offended that I said that she probably isn't sober. How dare I?
Rude. I'm
make
just
that
saying.
presumption. It is rude.
It's very presumptuous of you. It's very just arrogant and uppity.
Yeah.
I can list off a lot more.
The things the nomination has changed me clearly.
Oh yeah, that's why I try to humble you with nipples. Your nipples specifically.
My own. Yeah.
Your own nipples.
Those don't always look. I just want to say they don't always look like mine.
No, that's because sometimes I have to dramatize them because yours are just not. They're not pasty worthy, but I make them better. I make your nipples better, and I'm going to be selling your nipples as pasties at the Ohio conference that we're having up here soon.
You heard it here first, people.
Very fungible tokens.
I'm gonna have very fungible pasties.
Spike, do you remember the nipple? Do you remember the nipple episode of our show?
Yes.
Where we talked about male
we
nipples?
said nipples like 300 or 400 times. And that was a solid year plus before Nipplegate happened.
So actually, do you remember Nipplegate was exactly, it was like 2 days after George Floyd, or maybe like the day after George Floyd was
it was
murdered.
like a day or two after. Yep.
Yeah. And then we talked about police brutality and your nipples came out. Unfortunately, I don't know what happened. I think they just like fell out of your shirt and it became a thing. And now today we're on a show together where we have the verdict of the Chauvin trial and it's guilty on all counts.
Yeah, that is good.
We said it was murder from the beginning with nipples.
Yeah. Yep. We explained why it was murder, that you can't say just looking, because and I think we even talked about this. I am not a jury of anyone's peers. I don't have to do innocent until proven guilty. I can look at a video and decide what I think happened there. And when you look at the fact that he kneels on someone on the back of George Floyd's neck, George Floyd says he can't breathe. Then he becomes non-responsive, and then about a solid almost 2 minutes before he takes, or 4 minutes actually, before he takes his knee off, another officer comes over and shows that he doesn't have a pulse, says he can't find a pulse, and Derek Chauvin responds by kind of casually shrugging and continuing to choke him out, just in case he might still be alive under there. It was clear he was trying to kill him. It is disheartening to see the number of people that are saying, yeah, but he was on drugs and had heart problem. Okay, great. Even if he was in the midst of dying, if someone walks up and starts choking him to death, then now that person that choked him to death is still a killer, because if nothing else, he hastened his killing. And also, I don't think Derek Chauvin didn't know any of that stuff. I think if George Floyd had been much healthier and hadn't had any drugs in the system, and it would have taken longer to choke him out, hypothetically, he would have just done it for that period of time. Nothing was stopping him from continuing to do it.
Exactly. And luckily today we got the right verdict. Didn't stop a police officer in Ohio today in Columbus, where I live, shot a 15-year-old girl 4 times. That actually just happened right before the show started, so I don't know much about it. But yeah, so
I was going to say, I saw a bunch of comments on the Muddied Waters of Freedom where they were asking, did you see this? And I looked at the comments and I have no idea what this is about.
No idea. Yeah.
When you guys got on at 8, we got on at 8. It literally was like half hour, 45 minutes before that it happened.
Here's the thing that bothers me, besides obviously the actual killings themselves, is that many of the people who agree with us that there's a problem, instead of recognizing that this is an unaccountability problem, they'll say things like, well, the police need more money for funding. And my question every single time to them is, how much funding, how much training do you need to not murder someone who is handcuffed and lying on the ground?
Yeah.
Or how much training do you need to know the difference between your taser and your pistol that you've been carrying, the pistol for 20 something years and the taser for probably at least a few years at this point? You know, how much training do you not need to do all of the things that we talk about when we're talking about people in positions of power abusing the people that they have presumed authority over? What training do you need to not be a murderer or a rapist or an abuser or a kidnapper?
That's why they need more funding, Spike, for the training.
I see.
Train them with the money that we give them. They were going to train themselves up and stuff.
Yeah, it's funny because
Maybe
like
like
I'm pretty sure they already get money for that, and their training is just really shitty.
It's just, but they need more money for that same training so they can make it more training-y for them.
I think there was a stat that I saw that you know, kind of combined all of the major cities' police budgets in the United States, and I think it ranks at third or fourth largest military in the world. Is what
ours? Yeah, no, number 3. It's like the third most funded military. Like if you put it on the military scale, is the U.S. police. Is like police in the U.S. That's They're also the second largest political lobby in the U.S. So for the people who go, well, they're just enforcing the laws. They are doing that, but then they're also working through the lobbies that they have to make new laws, increase enforcement of the existing laws, and hold them unaccountable and make them less accountable. They're fighting against, and by the way, they're not just fighting against accountability. They're not just fighting against ending the war on drugs. They're also fighting against things like constitutional carry. They're fighting against your right to keep and bear arms. They're fighting against your right to due process. They're fighting against your right to not have unreasonable search and seizure in your home. They're fighting against your rights. And then they're enforcing the laws that they lobby to create. So it's not just they're not hapless bystanders in the police state. Their lobbies are actively involved in the creation of those things. They are part of a complex. They hold cities hostage, honestly. Like here in Columbus, they will literally say that we will not participate at all in the city if you don't sign the contract we present you from the union. Yep. And so it gets re-signed every time because obviously we are a large city. We need police. But so that's how they see it. And then we end up getting this shitty contract where we can't even fire a police officer when they fuck up.
Yeah. Public employee unions are an organization that is funded by taxpayer money that goes to the trough to push for more taxpayer money and less accountability for the people in their unions. That's bad in any scenario. It's bad with teachers. It's bad with anyone that's working for government because it's a self-fed feedback loop of give us more money, give us more money, give us more money, hold us less accountable, hold us less accountable. We want less responsibility and more money. That's bad in any scenario. When it's over the people who are being given authority to use deadly force and to put people in cages on presumptions and on the suspicion of a criminal activity being created or being committed, that's a disaster in the making, and it's the police state that we live under.
100%. And we were talking about it earlier, trying to get rid of even some of the small laws that seem silly and aren't going to end up with someone going to prison or whatever. All that's doing is increasing the number of the volume of police interactions. And those if someone was out there and just wanted to go through the stupid list of laws and remove and work with someone who could put forward to actually change those laws, if that's all they did, they would be doing such a wonderful thing for people who don't need to be harassed on a daily basis because
goat fucking on a Sunday.
That's right. That's right. Hey, I want to take this as brief.
For sure.
There's a wonderful. I just happened upon this wonderful comment that I'm going to bring up because it's wholesome and wonderful. Gavin
that, yes, please.
His school teacher for his U.S. government class gave us an entire test for extra credit about Vermin Supreme. Good work on that
Awesome.
U.S. government teacher.
Wow.
Yeah, that's
What grade is that?
I'm not
Second.
sure. I just saw it on. It was a
Oh,
YouTube comment that came up.
It's kindergarten.
That's
Yeah.
not presumptuous against Spike.
Oh shit, are we on YouTube? You mean our audience could include kids? Kids, for God, I didn't said anything about you know what I'm saying. Don't tell your mom I said that.
Butt plugs earlier.
Yeah, don't tell no.
Don't put a butt plug up your butt, kids.
Yeah, don't
Well, if we weren't going to get flagged before, we are definitely going to get flagged.
She specifically said don't.
I said don't.
Where are you supposed to run it?
Nobody is literally advocating for kids to put butt plugs up their butt.
No, nobody. No.
There's less people saying to do that than there are saying that Joe Jorgensen's not on heroin.
We are talking about adult grown-ups with consensual, willing orifices.
So I'd like to take that point and maybe pivot a little bit. Like, I wanted to ask, how does this compare
Where would you like to take that
going
point,
on
Derek?
to, with Kennedy? Like, how,
How does this compare to Kennedy?
We
Now
went
that
from
you're
butt
famous,
plugs to
Spike,
Spike
how
out
does
on Kennedy.
Honestly, I forgot I wasn't on Kennedy. Well, I mean, I think probably the biggest difference is that those segments are shorter.
probably the biggest difference?
Probably the main difference is that there's only a few minutes. So we
Spike,
don't get to explore all.
Spike, can you get me on the Kennedy show? Can you get me on? Can you get me on, bro? Can you talk to her about me?
I can ask.
Can you ask her? Can you bring me on? You think you can bring me on?
You should ask.
I'm gonna ask.
That would be a pretty funny thing just for you to ask her, of course. But
I am, and I want to be on the panel so we can. I want to be on the panel so we can argue with each other for 6 minutes.
So actually,
no, how dare you?
You're wrong. No, you're wrong.
How dare you?
Fuck you. You.
And then I want you to hit your vermin pipe.
on
And then showcase your butt plug.
Again, I do believe I hold the distinction of libertarian presidential candidates who smoke the most weed before the debates or during the debate.
certainly before.
But when I had my vape,
does the most meth. So to be fair,
that's true. Fair enough.
That is true. That's true.
He couldn't even debate
true.
Blue Shirt over here. Or I guess he's red shirt today.
I loved that he didn't. At no point has he ever known who I am.
He has no clue who you are. And he called Ethan. He made fun of people who would sign up for the country running for vice president.
What kind of moron would do such a thing? And I'm literally on the bus with my name on it. I'm on the tour bus with my name on it going, yeah, what a schmuck. What schmuck would do that? It's like, yeah, I mean, what an idiot. And I'm like, yeah, dumb, stupid. And yeah.
We convinced him, though, that we had never heard of Ayn Rand. And he made fun of us. He called us.
He's like, what kind of moron doesn't know who Ayn Rand is? And we're like, Ayn Rand. What's it called?
Rand Paul?
And yeah, Rand Paul. Like Rand Paul Rand. And he's like, it's called Atlas Shrugged. Look it up. And I'm like, well, I will. I'm definitely going to look it up after this. It sounds amazing. And so we all tricked each other that day.
Yeah,
it was a
fun time.
It was a fun time.
McAfee, before the nomination, before you became like famous or whatever, you guys were all supposed to have a debate, and McAfee didn't show up, but he was on my show the very next morning, and so you asked him, "Where were you during the debate?" And he was like, "God, I was on a 3-day meth binge. Why the fuck would I show up to a debate?" True.
Which is a good point. Really, if you're on the end of a 3-day meth binge, then you probably should not attend a vice presidential debate. That is fair.
Yeah. But he did make sure to bring himself and his bottle of Jack to talk with us about his 3-day meth binge and
it was over
whales.
by then. His meth bit, and that was and I had the whale background. Yeah, that was then. I had the whale.
You had a narwhal.
And then he said, "No, and I had a whale background." And he went, "In fact, you got a whale behind me." And I went, "What?"
Man, that's the reason that we have like these now, right?
Yes, we have. Well, yours is Jewish.
Yeah,
but the reason that we have,
I have a Jewish narwhal.
The reason that mine is a Gentile.
He doesn't fuck Jewish narwhals.
Yeah, because that would be against their religion. But we were
talking about whale fucking.
So the reason we have narwhals is because we were talking on the same episode that John McAfee. Oh wow, is that a moth? On the same episode that we had John McAfee on the same week that John McAfee was talking about the whale sex. At the same time was when the guy with the narwhal horn was defending against a terror attack. And so then that became a conversation about if it's possible to have sex with narwhals. This moth is all about this show.
Yeah.
I mean, he wants to hear about whale fucking. Like maybe he wants to fuck a whale. Let's not kink shame the moth.
Yeah. I actually have a great moth joke. So a moth walks into a doctor. A moth's in a doctor's office, and he says, "Doc, I got problems, man." And the doctor says, "What's going on, moth?" And he says, "Well, doc, it's not good. It's not good. I woke up yet. You see, this moth's trying to tell you. I woke up yesterday with just the crushing feeling of hopelessness, and I just realized, I look in the mirror every day, and I think, what even am I? What is the purpose of all this? I go to work, and my boss, Dmitry Rodskliostevsky, he is a tyrant to me, and he gets the abuse from the higher ups, and he comes right back and just hits me with it, and it just, I can't even go to work without all sorts of trouble and turmoil, and I just feel like such a waste. And I go home, and my wife, Ryetska Dyaishmatowski, is just, I don't love her anymore. And I'm not sure I ever did. I think it was just a sham marriage of convenience. I was so young. I didn't know what I was getting into. And all I know is I look at her and I think, I don't even want to see your face again. And Doc, my own son, little Piotr Brezhkevsmikowski, he is, I don't love him. I've never loved him. I've tried to love him. And I just can't. I can't love him. He's a disappointment, and I wish I could tell him how much I hate him, but I feel like I can't. And when I look in the mirror, Doc, all I can think is the crushing turmoil of my life and how I just wish that I had the stones, the very nerve to just put a gun to my head and end it all. But I'm too much of a coward to even do that, Doc. I'm not doing good, Doc. And the doctor says, "Moth, that's terrible, but I'm a podiatrist. I'm not a psychiatrist. I can't help you. What are you doing here?" And the moth said, "Oh, the light was on, so I flew in."
What is wrong with you? This is why Tasha says you're not funny. These are your jokes.
Yes, very profound.
It was very Jewish.
Yes, those were Russian names, actually. But thank you. No, those were Russian names, clearly.
With a ski at the end, that's how you know.
Ski. It's a ski at the end. It's a Russian name.
So is this like an anti-Russian PSA?
Yes.
It could have been Polish. Yes.
You scared the moth away, so congratulations.
Yeah, it could have been Polish, but it wasn't Polish. It was definitely Russian.
Yeah, the moth is, I think, trying to either get like a Mike Pence fly moment or a Bernie Sanders bird moment. I think that was what that moth was trying to do, Vermin.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you ever smell moth? Did you ever smell mothballs?
Yeah.
Yeah. How did you get their little legs open?
Like this.
That was a good moth
way
joke.
funnier, Spike.
My joke was far more complex and nuanced, and you people just don't get it.
We are just too much of the idiots. Maybe we're not top tier.
Up here. No,
You know,
I
this
think
is why you're not on.
Middle class.
This is
tier.
why.
That's why we're not on Kennedy.
This is why you get on. This is what gets you on Kennedy. That's right.
Moth jokes.
This is why we're not on Kennedy.
They said before they even the producers when they first reached out to me, they said, "Tell us your best moth joke," and I said that one, and they're like, "You're on. You're on. You're a Fox News contributor now. Congratulations."
I was on Fox News once, you know.
I know. You were on Waters World. Yeah. No, that was an even more popular skit than mine.
Hey, good times.
You had your own panel too. They had you in person. Me, they only had me come in on Skype because it's a pandemic. But maybe they'll bring me in eventually.
Sure.
Little onset.
Yeah, you're just on Fox Business right now. Like,
yeah, I know.
You're not even on Real Fox.
I know.
I'm not even on Real Fox. I'm on like Fox Junior.
Yeah, Fox adjacent.
ESPN the Ocho kind of.
You're the Libertarian Party. Like, you're on that channel of the
Fox
channels.
It's the second largest Fox News show on cable or Fox News channel of the Fox News channels.
Of the Fox
How many are there? I thought there were only two.
There's the two.
See, this is why we have to humble you. That's it. 1,000
That's
more
fair.
nipple memes. You actually threatened me just the other day. I don't know what you were threatening me with.
I didn't threaten you. I said I'd get back to you. And
No,
you said,
but then
feel threatened."
you said, "Yeah, you bet I will," or something like that.
No,
Something.
I said specifically. No, hold on. I'm going to defend myself now, madam.
Okay, go ahead because you threatened me.
I specifically said,
Which is actually a threat to Caitlin since she's the one that makes me do this.
what did I say?
Caitlin
I said,
blackmailed me.
we were talking about something, and I said, you said, just let me know. And I said, oh, I'll let you know. All right.
Yeah, doesn't stop threatening.
What was that? And then you said, that sounds threatening. And you said, that sounds threatening. And I said, you will be made aware soon enough. Rest assured of that. That's not threatening.
That's threatening.
No, it's not. I'm saying you're going to know any minute now, possibly when you least expect it. I will let you know.
See?
The knowledge of what we were talking about will enter your brain at the very least moment that you expect such a thing to happen. That is my promise to you.
See?
It's not a threat.
When you say it with your face, it's not a threat, but over text, it makes me feel
With
like
my
you're.
face?
Your
I'll
face
only
is
say
not
things to you with
threatening.
my face.
I'm
I
scared
will
of
only say
Joe
things to you with my
Jorgensen.
face from now on. Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
why I
it's
have
good to
Photoshop
know about
everywhere. It makes
communication.
everything just non-threatening.
So Derek, you got a great show here, huh?
It's a fun little 420 episode. Enjoy it.
With someone who's sober.
Yeah.
Yeah, with two people there. So
Yeah.
And I think that brings a different dynamic. You know, we had three fairly stoners.
It brings some seriousness to this. That was really
Brings some
missing
sobriety to the show.
before
The
we got
seriousness
here.
that was lacking.
A
That we
lacking.
somehow brought to the table here.
Yeah.
Spike's nipples just show up and make everything serious.
Yeah, I feel like I brought this at least 6 degrees more of seriousness on that scale.
So I do want to hear one thing from maybe a combination of you and Vermin or just from one of the two. But I want to hear a campaign trail moment of the two of you. It's funny. I mentioned that this was happening to my local affiliate, and 4 of the 6 people did not know that you two ran together. So I want to hear a funny story from that.
Lucky. People's memory is short. You are lucky.
You guys ran together?
When I bring it up, I'm like, no, we didn't, sweetie.
Oh,
no.
okay.
But when I tell people about it and they'll go, wait, what? So people say, who brought you to the Libertarian Party? I'm like, actually, Vermin Supreme did. And they're like, no, but who really brought you to the Libertarian Party? I'm like, no, Vermin Supreme did when I ran as his proposed VP during the nomination contest. And they're like, no, what really? How did you? And I'm like, no, seriously. And I'll tell them, go look it up. Vermin Spike 2020. Like, it's a whole thing. And that's I it's certainly nothing I hide from. I mean, it's why I'm here. I'm honored. I'm happy to tell people that. And I think it's important. And to this day, when someone will say, how do we get away from, the vermin supremes? And I'll say, well, it's not getting away. It's understanding why he's doing it. And if we do the work we need to do, vermin being running for something is a reflection of what isn't happening, both within our party and in politics in general. And when we fix that, now Vermin's joke isn't funny anymore because it's not true. What makes Vermin's joke funny is that it's true. Vermin making all these promises to people is not substantively different from politicians making a bunch of promises that that aren't going to happen. That's
and all the vulgarities. Icing on the cake. Icing on the cake. The glass dildos.
Oh, yeah. All the vulgarity. Yeah.
The glass butt plug.
Icing
on the
cherries
cake.
On top.
Wait, they're going to be
Cherries on
glass
top.
butt plugs? That seems dangerous. That just seems.
It will loosen up your butthole so you don't squeeze it and break it. Duh.
I don't know if you think your butthole clench can somehow shatter glass. There is equipment that can test the pressure exerted by the human butthole. I imagine. I mean, right? And science and all being what it is, and that's why I'm running for president again as the Libertarian candidate in 2024. Thank you. I'm Vermin Supreme, motherfuckers.
Is that going to be your platform? Is like universal roadside butthole testing or something?
Well, so you can make sure your butt is okay for the.
I've set up many
non-fungible. Indeed,
we've set up checkpoints. We've offered people full body cavity rectal inspections. That's something we've done.
If you have nothing to hide, then you have nothing to fear.
Yeah.
Well, if you do have something to hide, you can hide it up your butthole once you test how much you can put up there.
I always like those tails, the butt plugs that are like tails and ponytails. Have you seen those?
I always like those too.
Those are, they're really cute. They're really fun.
Super cute.
Yeah.
So this is great because I don't know Matt extremely well. I know him through social media and other stuff. But I'm just like watching his reaction to a lot of this, and this is like telling a whole different story. Like I'm getting a whole different story of what's going on in this podcast just watching Matt's window for a little bit.
I am like everyone else watching this.
Child.
Oh, so are we on two are we on two shows at once?
No, we're just doing this.
No. When I first started doing Muddied Waters, I was like, this is going to be a serious show. And then Spike joined. And that went out the window. Like
I was the comic relief. That's why it's so funny.
He was the comic relief. And
I was the comic relief.
Now he's the serious one.
Funny Jew. And now look what you people have done to me.
Now
I was the funny
jokes.
Jew. Now I'm telling the jokes that America needs to hear.
Moth.
Didn't we tell the aristocrats joke on our show once?
No, I told the moth joke, but I was falling asleep during it because I hadn't slept in 2 days. So I would say, Doc, I'm not feeling too hot. And then I'd fall asleep. But people thought it was part of the joke, and it wasn't. I was just falling asleep.
And Spike is not on heroin to the best of our knowledge.
To the best of our knowledge.
Best as I can tell.
Yeah.
Best as I can tell.
Oh, man. There is the comments are just wonderful too. I've been taking a look.
I want to check these comments out
periodically. There's a lot of folks in.
What are we on TV or something? What are we like on TV or something?
Yeah, Base is basically on TV. This is a live TV show that's bigger than Kennedy.
Cable access or something?
It's the third largest Fox show on TV.
It's the third largest Fox channel is post-political.
And I want to give a lot of credit to Kryssi because she has been on this show right now almost 3 hours. That's how long.
And I've been smoking weed the whole time and on edible. I hate you.
It's wonderful.
And I have to be here because, I mean, I have to cyberbully Spike every chance I get. It's not my fault. It's just like a thing. It's actually Spike's fault. Spike memed me first.
I did read that.
I made a wait. I made a picture. It's a picture of you like with a smash cake as a grown woman, but whatever. And you've got this cake and you got it all over your face. not
Very
looking
cute.
suggestive at
Very
all, of
cute
course.
photo.
And
Thank
you're
you.
like, and so I made a wholesome Sabbath meme,
A meme.
and it said, God, what did it say now? Hold on, I'm gonna pull it up because hold on, I'm gonna find it.
Does the show go on all night, Derek?
I think we'll probably be wrapping this up in the next probably 5 minutes or so. So I don't.
Well, now Spike is trying to like gaslight me.
Stays on until I find this.
And so he started it, and I have been
here we are.
But wholesome Sabbath memes. Thank you very much.
Oh, is that what they are? Is that what we're calling that
grandma.
now? Are you appropriating? First of all, my culture is not a costume, but thank you. This is so this is the meme here, and it's important that you all see it.
It's a meme.
It was a good meme. It's a good meme. It's a meme that's good. And that was
love that one. That's great. That's good.
And
good
so
use
she's
of the
been
image, sure, of course.
She's been nipple terrorizing me for like the better part of a year now because of this.
In Kryssi's defense,
what
you are the one who told everybody to post pictures of their Thanksgiving dinner and tag her in all of them.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I did do that.
Yeah. So in her defense,
there's more to the story, ladies and gentlemen. Obviously.
No, I did. I forgot. I did that.
I did not forget that because
thank you so much, Matt. Thank you. I know you terrorized me too, but I know
you're right.
As the more details are coming in, I am starting to.
Funny how people's memories work sometimes, isn't it?
Yeah, I totally blocked that out, and then I expanded it to Christmas too because it really pissed her off.
So now he gets nice nipple-themed gifts that arrive at his house in his wife's name.
Yeah. Yep.
But he doesn't let her see them.
That's a normal response to what we were just talking about.
Listen, I have ADHD. I hyper-focus on my revenge.
Wait. This is not...
No, I get to use it for everything now, okay? I got diagnosed. I get to use it for everything.
For everything.
Everything.
Your Honor, I have ADHD.
No, you have HD TV.
You have 88K or whatever the next thing is.
I can't help it, Spike. You
in 3D
tried to troll me, and now I have your nipple cartoonized tattooed on my ankle.
That's just why, like,
I'm making your nipples into pasties and selling them.
There might be like a Netflix special in 10 years about this. Like, how did we get from one place to the other?
Move aside, Tiger King. Here comes the nipple queen.
If I could be trashier than Tiger King, that would make my life.
If
I just need a TV show and then I'm there.
Just pretty much. Well, technically, he didn't have a TV show. He had a YouTube channel. So I guess you're already there. You're almost there. You just have to get verified on YouTube, and then you're there.
And then you're there.
Oh gosh.
And you're helping me get there. I memed you to Kennedy. I'll take that credit.
In no way did that happen.
I sent Kennedy so many cards, and that's why you're there.
Cause and effect.
Yeah, cause and effect. Take that credit.
Well, listen, correlation does not equal causation. Okay, so.
Well, listen, memes.
We're teaching people things left and right on this show right now. This is probably the most off the rails the show has ever gotten.
That's what everyone says when I come on their show.
Actually, it's funny. I came in knowing that. Like, I consciously made the decision to give Kryssi a message and say, 420 episode, I want Kryssi on.
No, this was a choice you made.
This was
months ago. He asked me to do this, and I was like, absolutely. But normally I warn people. I feel like Derek didn't need a warning because he knows me, I think, a little bit enough to know that, like, I will ruin anyone's chances. If anyone's running for office, if anyone's, they know.
Exactly.
Anything, yeah. If anyone's doing anything, here you are.
Anything important.
Tell them. But it's okay because you have. It's okay because you have ADHD.
Yeah, it is okay because of that. So that's the biggest reason. And also my personality is just ridiculous and shit. So like I'm working on that part, but not, and the ADHD part. But I've once been called a detriment to a career by my best friend.
I was gonna say, was that by Spike?
No.
Not by
I
Spike.
created a
That's
career.
me.
Don't you remember? I already took credit for that.
No, I've already learned not to make any sudden eye contact with Kryssi or say things. So I just like, hi, Kryssi. So,
He's like, I have something over here going on. Oh,
yeah, I have to
I'll come with.
go. I think my wife's calling and saying, you stay here. So,
yeah, right. Tasha loves me more than you love me. She sends me eyelashes. I'm actually wearing a Tasha special tonight.
Are those Tasha eyelashes?
Yes, she sends me eyelashes, and we talk for a long time about makeup. And it's funny because she talks to me from Spike's account. So I would love to just screenshot some of the things. Spike telling me which eyelash would go great with my
I'm so happy that exists.
There are entire conversations between Kryssi and my wife on my messenger that could easily look like I'm telling Kryssi like what kind of makeup I put on my black skin.
It's the best.
It's pretty much, yeah. No, that definitely won't ever come back to haunt me.
I told her she looked younger than Spike. And because I didn't even know this, Tasha's actually, she's older than Spike.
It's actually older than
which
me,
is weird. And I told her there's no way because she looks so much younger, and that I've seen pictures of Spike as a child, and he started looking like a middle-aged Jew then. So like now he just looks like
I've always looked like a middle-aged Jew.
Always.
And I had this really cool phase when I first started making money after I got my business. I immediately leaned into dressing like an old retired Jew. And I was wearing like khaki shorts and polos and Kangol hats and a Rolex. And I had way too tan of a body because I had time to, and I looked like I was ready to retire to Miami. Or was already there actually. And I have always looked like a middle-aged Jew, and I own it. And I'm just now starting to actually come into my own as an actual middle-aged Jew. It makes me so happy.
She just looks so young, and you just look like you just don't deserve her so much.
That's also a very, very, very middle-aged Jew thing, is having a wife that I look like I definitely we didn't come in together. And that's fine. That's good.
Yeah, and she just has such great eyelashes, and I'm just so glad that she gave me her eyelashes.
Hers. Rip them out one by one.
Your nipples, her eyelashes. I'm almost a full Cohen.
Oh God.
So I have one request from the comments that I think we're going to end it up on, because I think it's getting late for a few folks. It is, and this was wonderful. I think we've covered so much, and can cover one more piece. And this is something that's a little bit sad, but it's good to talk about. Congo the giraffe recently just passed away, and I wanted you to share your Congo the giraffe moment to kind of help kind of memorialize his life.
Yeah, so Vermin and I met Congo just over a year ago now, back in 2019, the day after I announced that I was going to be running as Vermin's proposed running mate in the nomination contest. We went to the Nashville Zoo for what Vermin called the backyard zoo illegal animal smuggling operation or something like that, where we got a backyard, a backstage look at the zoo, and Vermin kept trying to buy the animals. And one of them was Congo the giraffe, who was huge, but also incredibly gentle and sweet. And he was very interested in me and Vermin. There's actually one of my photos, one of my favorite photos that I've ever taken, is with me and Vermin. And everyone thinks it's my hand, but it's actually Vermin's hand. Yes, if you look at where the thumb is, it's Vermin's hand. I can't do that with my hand. And Congo's, going down and I think trying to see if Vermin had anything. But the look on my face makes it look like Congo bit my hand, even though it's not my hand and he didn't bite anyone. So I have Joe beat on the getting bitten by wild animals thing.
Oh God, here's another joke.
So then someone made a Congo the giraffe who bit Spike Cohen Twitter account that was popular for several minutes. And
I think I remember that.
Yeah.
And he passed away a few weeks ago due to complications from what should have been a routine surgery, but unfortunately with giraffes, it's actually very common that they die under anesthesia, which is why they tried to avoid doing the surgery. So it's very sad, but it was great. I'm just glad that we got to meet him, and he was a really, really sweet boy, a sweet giraffe. And he was huge. He was gigantic. I've seen a lot of giraffes that was big. So it's very sad. It is very sad.
Big critter. Nice critter. Yeah. Beautiful animal.
He's a nice critter.
Yeah.
So I think we should dedicate this episode to Congo, the giraffe.
Yes. Retroactively.
Rest in peace. We actually said it in the beginning. You just weren't here.
I do want to thank all you lovely folks and all the folks watching. There's still basically the same size crowd we had once we started this thing 3 hours ago.
That's incredible.
Wow.
So it's just I'm entertaining.
That's insane because I've stopped paying attention a solid 10 minutes ago. So I'm amazed. I wonder how many people have just started doing something else on their phone. No, thank you guys for tuning in. And this was a fantastic episode. I'm so happy that Matt and I were able to be a part of this. This was very edifying to all of us. Thank you.
Yeah. And I'd love to have every one of you on again at maybe different times, maybe the same time.
I don't want to do this with you guys all together
at the same time. Separately, you would be fantastic, but together, no, God, no.
We could do a reunion show.
Yes.
Every 420.
Every 420, this happens for 3 hours. And everyone suddenly dreads 420. Oh man.
That's how you win the weed war.
That's right.
For the state.
That's how you make everyone associate weed with this.
Did you ever really look at your hands up close?
It could be 3 hours worth of that, which I've seen on YouTube.
Oh, if you look, he's married to his wife because no one believes him.
So no, I just wanted to close by thanking you all. This
is the proof.
This is the best.
This 50-cent silicone ring I got from Walmart. This is all the proof I need to prove. How could you people not believe I'm married after seeing
her and
this
Chris
thing?
Spangle's girlfriend are CGIs? We already know.
For sure.
I bank on people at the convention when they meet my wife being too respectful to try to touch her, because
we know
that's when they'd realize and they go,
"She's real."
So, folks, thanks so much for tuning in for this episode of the Post-Political Podcast by Derek Britton. A fun time had by all, of course. And we wish you all, you and yours, a happy 420. Derek?
Yes, absolutely. And I would like to plug the last thing, no pun intended at all. But the last thing that I do want to mention, there's some wonderful merchandise that is not necessarily plug related. That will actually help.
Not necessarily. I can't wait to hear what this is.
For the most part.
So there's two wonderful mutual aid groups that we're trying to help out. And while we have this audience, I figure why not plug the two things that will help them
Stop saying plug,
succeed. Please. I know I got to find a different word there. But we have the Bridge Kids Give Back fundraiser. So this is a shirt and a tote bag. If you buy, you can help basically.
You can make it a butt plug.
I guess anything.
You can make anything a butt plug with enough lube.
Sorry for ruining your promo.
No worries. This is the
420
episode. You got to expect a little bit of
kids in the title.
Fun. No, so that one. If you buy or donate directly, you can help out the homeless folks in Massachusetts. and that's pretty wonderful. There's also
they're awesome.
This is more appropriate for
the Be Gay Do Crime fundraiser we're doing for the Trans Resource Network of Louisiana. So if you buy any of these or donate directly on the PayPal link, you can help out the trans and gender nonconforming folks down in New Orleans, Louisiana.
And you can make that a butt plug even better.
Again,
that
like
was way more on brand, than the thing with the kids. Yeah,
You're right.
Yeah, I figured, while we have the audience, why don't we try and do some good?
No, that's good.
I think we
Again,
doing good in our communities. That's good that we did that.
That's right.
So
mutual aid, people. It's all about the mutual aid.
Yes, that's what this show is about.
Share your butt plug.
Most of the time.
Love and caring. Once again, I want to bring it back to the Vermin Supreme message.
Yes.
Love, caring, sharing, mutual aid, direct action. All right?
Yes.
All right, with humor and from the heart. I know we've had some laughs here and said some outrageous things, or at least I did, of course. And
I didn't.
No one else. No one else.
Nobody.
I just want definitely. And I think we all learned something, and I think we all part a little bit wiser. And
Sure.
I want to take this opportunity to just thank you and tell you once again how special it has been to be able to spend this time with you tonight. And
thank you.
Yeah,
that was perfect.
All right.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Get those fungible tokens as soon as you can, and thank you for joining us on this episode on the Post Political Podcast.